fucking Discord.
Look at the fucking Discord. That's a perfect start to the show. Thank you for that, Darge. Thank you for that. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Arcadia Roundtable. It is a Saturday, and this is a very relaxed podcast where we don't mind, do we? We don't mind starting off the show with a look at the fucking Discord. We're going to talk about loads of stuff today because the year is kicking off. We've had the Consumer Electronics Show with Nvidia strutting their stuff, a few others, but you know, bits and pieces to talk about. We've got Xbox promising us good things towards the end of the month. We're going to talk about all of that. But first of all, we're going to introduce our beautiful co-hosts. My bad, that was a different podcast. We're going to introduce Luke and Darge. Luke, how you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me, as usual. Very well. It's kind of ramping up news-wise, which is good. And there's some really interesting stuff that's just happening at CES, and then Xbox, right around the corner with the Dev Direct. So it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun. We insist. Thank you everybody that has come through and is talking to us and all the rest of it. I think there's probably got shit in the way. There's no question box yet, but there will be shortly because that's how this show works. You'll be able to stick all your questions in there. Anything that you need us to address, you stick them in the Q&A box. We're reading the chat as we go, but we can get those crucial bits at the end because that's always one of our favourite parts to talk to you a lot and see what you want us to get on. Darge, how you doing?
Mate.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm alright. Had a bit of a poxy week health-wise, but everything's alright on that regard. I was going to make another video and I've just completely binned that off. But yeah, other than that, I'm alright, mate. Played a bit of Ratchet and Clank. And that's it. I think it's been a quite quiet week for me personally. But yeah, happy to be here with yourself and Lukey. And like Luke said, like this last week, it's been busy. There's been some leaked stuff. There's been some actually shown stuff. There's a lot to talk about. So yeah, it's been a good week. We'll get stuck into it.
We're going to get stuck into it, but first, we're going to rewind a little bit. I always like to start this show off by talking about actual games that we've been playing this week, because we wouldn't be here if we didn't like talking about games, would we? So, Darge, you mentioned there that you've been playing Ratchet and Clank. So let's start with that one. Tell me about it.
it's, you know, we talk about, like, obviously Luke was talking about Astrobot and stuff like that, and I love a 3D platformer of that ilk, like, you know what I mean. I bought it a while ago. Obviously, I remember all the song and dance about the SSD tech with the Portal stuff and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I've installed it, started playing. It's just quality. Like, it's just a quality. I mean, even the stuff like the little secrets, you know, where you pick up them bears. Like, I think I can't remember the names of them, but there's like these little hidden Easter eggy type bears and these other little portals that you go through with Clank, and he does these other sort of puzzles and stuff. Yeah, I'm just loving it, you know, and I'm loving the presentation of it overall. Like, obviously, I've been playing it on the PC. I've also played it on the Steam Deck, and like, obviously with the Steam Deck, obviously you get the downgrading resolution and that, but it performs really well on there. Yeah, just give me more 3D platformers if you wouldn't mind, and I'll be really happy about it. But did you play it when it came out, either of you two?
Yeah, I definitely have. I played it on the PS5 when it came out, and I do not like 3D platformers. I'm not the same as you at all on that one, but Ratchet and Clank is like, presentation-wise, it's 3D platformer. It's got like a fair amount of jumping and all the rest of it, but it's quite action-heavy as platformers go. So I enjoyed it. Cinematic. I really dislike Clank. I hoped that he would die the whole way through. It's not a spoiler to say whether he does or not. You just have to play it for yourself and find out. That's just what I wanted to happen. Yeah, it's been a while though. Luke, you played this one as well.
Yeah, I played it and finished it just after it launched. Basically, I actually played a bit of it the other day on the PS5 Pro, just because I wanted to see what the new modes look like, and it was very nice. It looks really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of the franchise, and yeah, it is platformy, but it's almost like a kind of hybrid of that and like action adventure almost. Like, it's its own kind of unique style, which I think is really cool. I don't know why you have such great hate for Clank, though.
It's just irritating.
Rep's asking the same thing as well in the chat.
Yeah, Clank's Bay, isn't he? He's a good guy. He's just a little robot.
Look, sometimes you get these raw emotions, and I can't explain why. I can't even remember. Like, the logic and reasoning behind it has left me. I've just got the lingering feeling of resentment. Like 2 years later, 3 years later, however long it's been since that game came out, I just remember thinking, yeah, I don't like Clank. Don't like Clank at all.
Did you like Rivet?
Rivet's fine.
Okay, well, strong endorsement there.
Yeah, like I say,
the main character in the game.
A long time, and all I can remember is that little bit of resentment. That's the bit that leaves the lingering taste. So Rivet, probably fine. That's, you know. What do you want from me, Luke? Yeah, so when you played it on the PS5 Pro, obviously, like, you've presumably not done a side-by-side and looked at it on the base PS5 anytime recently, but did that? Yeah. Is it a marked difference for you? A marked difference? Do you care? Did you notice? Did you think, oh wow, this looks much better than I remember it? Or
it definitely looked better than I remembered it, but it looked really, really good anyway. So I think it would be one of those games where you would probably need to do a side-by-side to see the difference, because the main difference comes from the image quality improvements in that. I think in the fidelity mode as well, I can't remember if it's like Spider-Man 2, but in Spider-Man 2, they introduced, for the Pro, the fidelity mode, they introduced like additional ray tracing features. I don't know if they've done the same. I presume they have for Ratchet, so you kind of get a bit extra there as well. But it already, the performance mode in Ratchet on PS5 already ran very well, and it already looked really good. So it's not by no means a life-changing upgrade. It's just, it looks better, even better than it did. It's more comparable to maybe the PC version, just in terms of image quality, but not the other stuff, right? So, it's a nice upgrade.
We got Shane, Dick Wingbat, legendary name, has said that he nearly made it on time. Shane, we nearly made it on time as well. So we're in the same little club on that one. Yeah, one of these days we will. So that's Ratchet and Clank. That's probably enough. Like, I'm going to make the obvious shout out to Insomniac as a studio, and their creativity with weapons is what carries presentation and weapons. Gameplay wise, the gameplay is carried by their creativity with weapons, and it was the same with like Sunset Overdrive. Less so Spider-Man, but the Resistance series and all the rest of it. So hopefully they won't be stuck making Marvel games forever and ever and ever, but it's going to be the foreseeable, right? So let's do the next game. Luke, you played anything this week?
I've been quite disappointed. I haven't really played that much this week, actually, oddly enough. The only thing I think noteworthy is that I did start playing Pikmin 4 on the Nintendo Switch, which I picked up some time ago, but I haven't opened it until now. So I thought, you know what, I've got kind of, I'm Wukonging as well, as people know. And I was like, okay, I want something a bit lighter to go alongside that, a bit different. So I picked up Pikmin 4, started playing that, and it's just more Pikmin, and it's really nice. So that's been good, but I haven't played too much of it. But it's one of those games where, like, it kind of shows how well developers can do with the Switch in terms of visuals, but also how limited they are, because you get these really nice high quality visuals, and then you just get this like horrible resolution. That's better than, it's, to be fair, it's better than a lot of games, but it just really kind of shows the age of the system, because it is a very underlying, the asset quality is really high, but it's just, it's on the Switch, so there's only limited amount, and it's a nice looking game on the OLED Switch, but again, it can't really do much other than give you a nice contrast. So yeah, but it's fun.
Is it though? So
well, I think so.
It's like, is it a puzzle game? I've never played a Pikmin game, so you're gonna have to help me out.
Oh,
like, I know you
okay.
get the little guys, and they've all got their different abilities, and you lead them around and all the rest of it, right? But it's
yeah, it's a very unique setup. Actually, there's nothing really that plays like Pikmin, and I think it's probably one you either love or you don't. But it's kind of puzzly, and then also kind of like RTS, like a proper real-time strategy, but just really simplified to Nintendo levels. So it's kind of this weird mix of accumulating Pikmin and like figuring out things in the environment, and then like opening up the environment and going to somewhere else and getting new abilities. And it's a really hard game to describe, actually, because it doesn't really play like anything. So yeah, I definitely think, for Switch 2, if they do an upgrade on this for Pikmin 4, it would be one to probably jump into if you wanted to try it, because it's a really nice looking game, and then you'll see if you like Pikmin or not. Maybe you won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to give most things a go. Is it play for the sake of play, or is it trying to tell you some kind of story as you go? Or
no, there's a story. There's a story. Yeah, it's not like a sandbox. Just go and do what you want. It's directed through a story. So it's,
tell me the ending.
Not meaningless. No, play the game.
Okay, fine. So we could do that. Darge, have you ever played a Pikmin game?
There's not a lot of
What's right
Nintendo. Yeah, well, you was trying to explain what the game was like, and I was watching the trailer on the stream, and I was trying to work out what it was as well. But then I don't know, maybe it is like one of those. I don't know, one of those, like you said, Marmite, isn't it? You either like it or you don't. So
yeah.
You never know. You never know. Switch 2, maybe, but we'll talk about that in a bit. What have you been playing, Asa?
What have I been playing? Oh shit, you put me on the spot. I don't remember. I've been playing. So I started playing last week Final Fantasy 16, which I'm still playing, and I still I enjoy it for what it is, but it's nothing like a Final Fantasy game as I perceive Final Fantasy games from what I've seen of it so far. It's really, really hyperlinear, right? There's very little opportunity to deviate from a very straight, very tightly curated line, which is okay because like some of my favorite games are like that, but Final Fantasy games are not like that. So it's like it's this weird. I don't know if it's fair to even hold that as an expectation against it, that it delivers on being a Final Fantasy game because that's the name of it. Maybe it's fine that it's just good at what it does. But you get things like hangovers from it trying to be an RPG. It doesn't try very hard to be an RPG, but it's got like a weapon update system, and it just feels so arbitrary and pointless from where I am in the game right now, which is not very far, but pretty much at every opportunity in your little hub, you go to the shop and just arbitrarily upgrade your weapon and get like plus 10 on its stats or whatever. And it feels so like, what are you doing? There is no thought in this whatsoever. I'm not making a decision. I'm just going through the motions, and it feels weird to me. And yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm playing on the PC. It looks gorgeous. I love the look of it. The story is genuinely like, it's intriguing. It's got me hooked. I want to see what happens next. Combat's just serviceable, right? It's pretty piss easy and serviceable. It's not doing anything that unique in terms of the moment to moment gameplay, but looks and sounds great. Has a good world. Has a good story. Isn't an RPG. I don't want to get into the nonsense conversations that you get all over Twitter or whatever when people start trying to define what constitutes an RPG, what you can apply it to, what you can't. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying this one's not really like a Final Fantasy game. It is very tight, very, very tightly focused and curated. But I've also been playing, and this is new for me because I don't do handhelds. I've been playing Shining the Holy Ark, which is an RPG from the Saturn. Night and day difference. It's not the most accessible or user-friendly RPG, but I have a soft spot for the Shining series, so I've been going through that and enjoying that as well. Luke, is my obviously I don't want any spoilers or anything. So far in Final Fantasy, I'm not even 10 hours in. Do you reckon my opinion is going to change over time, or is this pretty fair assessment of how it plays out throughout?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much what the game is. Yeah, it's as you say, it's not. It's more action adventure than RPG. It doesn't have really any RPG mechanics. Actually, come to think of it, it doesn't. It has sort of, as you say, the weapon upgrades and stuff, but they're very basic and kind of unnecessary. Mm-hmm. It's still got like that Final Fantasy spirit through it, in that it's kind of a big epic story, and obviously it has all the the things that are common to Final Fantasy worlds in there as well. Yeah, the Moogles, crystals and such. But that's pretty much it. I really loved it for what it is, but I think, I don't think your opinion is going to change by the time you reach the end of the game.
Okay. I don't necessarily expect it to either, and it's not. I am enjoying it more so than I did some other Final Fantasy games. It's just, I don't know, it feels like maybe it shouldn't have the mainline numbering on it. You got that Stranger of Paradise as well, which I haven't played yet, and that's purely like, it's Final Fantasy, but not because it's an action game. This feels like that. Yeah. And it makes me ever more grateful that Final Fantasy VII's remakes are as good as they are, because I don't think Square Enix are capable of doing what they're doing, and somehow that one is just like standing alone in a sea of chasing a different audience. Final Fantasy VII Remake is just really, really good. So
I just kind of want to do the same structure as Remake and Rebirth, but for a mainline FF game. Like give me that kind of hybrid ATB combat system. Let me attack as other party members, and give me all that stuff just with a new setting, because I think they've got a really good formula there. So I'm surprised they're trying. I think I remember they did some interviews and they were like they wanted to make more of a game that I guess was tuned to the West almost, like, because Westerners play a lot of action adventure games and really like them, but Westerners don't play Final Fantasy games for that. So
it's a weird one, because it's like, that's not even new, is it? That's what happened to the series. That's what they chased for year after year after year, and they've somehow, even though the feedback is always the same, there's always like their fan base is always calling for them to go backwards every time they do a new release. Go back to how you used to do them. We like the turn base. Go back to it. Their fan base is vocal, and their sales might disagree with their fan base. Right? Maybe it is working. Final Fantasy 15 was a big seller, But 13 was criticized for its chase towards like cinematic action adventure, and they've got progressively further and further and further towards it, to the point that now like 16 is barely recognizable as an RPG. It's just not.
Yeah.
And then 7 is so good. I don't know, it's weird. Oh, you got another one. Has anyone, either of you two, played anything else that you can share with us?
I've been quiet this week. Just Ratchet, maybe a couple of runs of Blatro. That's about it.
Yeah, I've also been quiet.
Fair, and that's unusual, but we'll take it. In that case, we'll start moving on. If you're here in chat and you want to talk about the various things that you've been playing, then do it. Talk to us, talk to each other. We like that. That's part of it. Being a community-driven show, so have at it. We're going to talk about. We'll start on the drier side of the topics, which is to say, Consumer Electronics Show, rather than the rampant speculation on what games are coming and marketing hype and all the rest of it. We're going to talk about the Consumer Electronics Show, which isn't that dry because there was some freaking cool stuff there, and we'll get straight in with what was the highlight for most of us, Nvidia. Nvidia were there. They've got robots and shit. They've got all kinds of stuff going on. But for us on a gaming podcast, they've got a new series of graphics cards coming. No surprises. Everyone knew that it was going to be there. But we didn't know the prices. We didn't have the specs nailed down. And we didn't get to digest some of their marketing slides. Luke, you've been all over this. What are Nvidia doing?
Well, they're going to be selling graphics cards that I think will probably sell out very quickly, irrespective of whether they're very good or not. So that's what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, they announced the entire 50 series, pretty much. And huge focus on machine learning, on AI, and a huge focus in particular on frame generation, which is a controversial subject, shall we say, in the PC sphere. Quite why, I don't know, but it is. Jensen was on stage in a jazzled leather jacket, speaking to the world, and saying that a 5070 is a better performing card than a 4090, which is a bit of showmanship there, but there you go. But yeah, I mean, they've kind of very, they have released benchmarks. They're typical GPU manufacturer benchmarks in that they tell you a bit, but they don't tell you the full story. They're very curated. Certainly many things that these cards are doing are very impressive. I think they're expensive, obviously. I think maybe not as expensive as people were anticipating, but still expensive, and still more expensive in some respects than the last generation, which is to be expected to some extent. But I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, when I saw the showcase, the keynote, and then saw some of the stuff, I was a bit kind of excited, but maybe a bit underwhelmed. But the more I've seen, the more excited I've got for some of the capability of these things. But obviously, I think a lot of that depends on your want to use DLSS and in particular frame gen, basically. If you use those anyway, these are going to be pretty big boosts on what you have, depending on what card you have and what you go for. But yeah, it really interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, my initial response to it when the slides came out, I didn't stay up until 2:30 in the morning to watch this thing. So I waited until the morning and I saw the marketing slides. And marketing slides are always something to take with a pinch of salt, because at the very best, they're cherry-picked results. So you can expect real world performance to be not necessarily lower. If you play the particular games that they're basing these stats off, then in theory you can achieve what they're saying. But across the board, you wouldn't expect that to be the level. And the marketing slide that they showed had such a focus on frame gen, and not just the graphs and things, but all of the marketing. Like the line that you mentioned with the 5070, 5700, whatever the series is called, being equivalent to a 4090. And it was entirely blowing up the number with frame gen, because the new thing that they've got is multi-frame generation. So in the previous generation, you flick a box, you enable frame generation, and half of your frames are artificially constructed by AI. They've bumped the AI up and given it the capability to render 2 or 3 frames for every one genuine one. And they are using that as a measurement to say, look, we've increased performance by like 3 times what it was, and it runs through all of their slides. That's not to be necessarily like dismissive or endorsing it. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of frame gen. I use it as a crutch if I need to, but I'd rather play without it because I'm a big fan of image stability more so than anything else, really. Like I very much notice if I'm starting to get weird shimmering and things like that, and frame gen can introduce some artifacts and things like that occasionally. But yeah, my initial look at the marketing was like, oh, that's a bit underwhelming, because the only benchmark that they had that was like true raw native performance, no tricks, no fidgeting on like trying to boost the numbers, was Far Cry 6. And the bars on Far Cry 6, especially when it was positioned alongside these games that did have the inflated boost of frame generation, it looked quite moderate, quite underwhelming as an improvement. But I'm like you, and over time, the more that I've seen like Digital Foundry doing deep dives into what it looks like and actual results that people are seeing with their eyes, the more kind of excited I am for it. Because it does look like a big deal, and it is going to be by far and away the leading tech in graphics for the next at least like 2 years. So can't not be a bit excited about it, right? Darge.
Yeah, mate.
You always fear missing out whenever anything new comes along. How you feeling? How did Nvidia get you feeling?
Yeah, they got me. Obviously, like, you know, like El Nini's just put in the chat there, like, we're obviously going to wait till the benchmarks, you know, start coming out, the proper hands-on. But like, obviously, Digital Foundry did a video with it, going through bits and pieces that they could. And like, obviously, in regards to that 4 times frame generation, they were showing that the frame pacing and everything was a lot tighter now. Like, so obviously, you've been seeing the demos, like, where they're obviously loading Wukong up and showing it at like, you know, 20, 30 FPS, flicking the switch and it just going bang, right? And then obviously Richard was saying that in the Cyberpunk footage on the benchmarking tool and that they were doing it with, they was noticing like a lot of the ghosting and stuff like that you were talking about. Nvidia had done a lot of work with that. So, you know, when you say about image stability and stuff like that, again, this is all just off of Digital Foundry's video that they did just off the, without proper going into it, you know. And he was saying they've done a lot of work there, you know, with the ghosting, you know, with the image quality and stuff like that. I mean, I remember they were showing this doorway on the benchmarking tool, you know, at the end on Cyberpunk where it opens, and they were saying about the level of detail in the door. It's exciting stuff. Look, I'm a 4070 Ti owner. Excuse me. The 5080 looks like a no-brainer for me straight away. 5090 is probably a little bit out of my range. I don't think I could probably justify that one in this house. But 5080 would look like it would be a good jump for me price-wise at like $1,000 or whatever it is. Again, I think the pricing's good. You got all the squabbling over what's fake and fake frames and fuck. I don't give a shit what it is. You know what I mean? If it gives me more performance and it doesn't look appalling, yeah, or like you say about the stutters and this, that, and the other, if it is a smooth experience, then yeah, definitely it's a viable upgrade for me, 100%. Like I say, I want to see more. I know that you said about them side-by-side graphs, and Far Cry 6 was a standout one. I don't know whether that's more a case of Far Cry 6 being just a rare case, you know what I mean, or something like that, you know, with whatever engine or whatever.
Yeah. That's the other thing that got me skeptical, though, was because nobody gives a shit on Far Cry 6. What's it doing on the chart? It's obviously going to be an outlier in terms of like the performance game.
Yeah, and listen, look, like from the get-go, from my standpoint of what they showed and stuff like that, yeah, there's a lot more, you know, DLSS4, frame gen, 4-time frame generation, you know, this, that, and the other. And obviously the way that they're showing it is flicker switch, fucking, get over 100 FPS boost. Yeah. And Digital Foundry is saying that when you've enabled that, the image quality has not been washed out or anything as bad for it. So just going off of them few bits, but again, like, you want to see people getting it in their hand, stress testing them, and then actually see what the Apple is. But like I say, for me, at a 4070 Ti down to a 5080, like, that'd be a no-brainer move anyway. I think I would naturally just get a better bump from that anyway. So without all the other bells and whistles. So yeah, from my standpoint, very interested, want to know more and see more, and I'm sure we will do. I mean, these things launch like in 2-3 weeks, something like that. So what's it like? What do you reckon, Luke? A week before launch or something like that? Maybe they start dropping out some bits and pieces, or in and around. But I think it'll be fine for me personally.
Yeah, I hope it benchmarks come out at least a couple of days before the cards come out. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of performance uplift just generally when you turn off DLSS and maybe you have RT on. But Far Cry 6 is an interesting one because it's if you like look at the graph, it looks to be, I mean, very roughly, it's maybe a 25 to 30% increase in terms of performance that it's showing, that graph, which, funnily enough, before the 40 series was kind of what you would expect gen to gen. I think the 40 series, particularly the 4090, and the huge uplift that had over the 3090 just in terms of raw performance, it maybe skewed people's expectations around what another generation increase would do. But that was very much out of the norm. And then with that series, obviously, you then threw on DLSS, and frame gen and stuff, and it was even bigger, than just raw performance uplifts. Far Cry 6 is somewhat CPU bound, somewhat CPU intensive. So if it is still getting 25-30%, that's still relatively impressive. But we need to see like just more stuff that's not frame gen. What I would say is, I mean, at least with multi-frame gen, the performance increase is gigantic with that. There's no question about that at all. But for many people, it will be, what does that produce in terms of an image real time? Is the sacrifice of image to some extent, stability, worth it for the extra performance, or what have Nvidia done? Now, they showed on the DF video, which was really useful, that they have made massive improvements to DLSS generally. So in terms of DLSS 4 stability, they've got a new AI machine learning model that's powering that. They've improved their ray reconstruction. So all of these things have added up to a much more stable, better quality image. But then you're layering lots of frames, generated frames on top of that. So from the video, I thought it looked really, really good. Like a definite improvement over current frame gen in terms of image quality. And I think it's interesting. The most interesting thing to me is that Nvidia have stopped now. They used to, when frame gen was introduced initially, they were very clear that it's really for games where you're already getting a base frame rate of about 50 to 60 FPS. That's where it's at its best. They've stopped talking about that now. And, they're recommending it for things where you're in your mid-20s, 30s, etc. So I feel like they must be somewhat confident with the image quality, because frame gen has always been one where and DF coined this term, but if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. If you're low frame rate based to begin with, if you frame gen up, your image quality is going to suffer because of that. So I think hopefully they've improved their models enough that actually that whole scenario is much improved than it was. But I certainly think that, I mean, the takeaway I got from this is if you don't use frame gen, and if you don't use DLSS at all, and if you don't use frame gen, these cards are not, then, if you've got a 4080, 4090, they're probably not going to be worth you investing in them over and above what you've got, because that is the big performance uplift. And obviously you have like a big performance uplift on ray tracing as well because it's got more RT cores, etc. But they're
like,
really leaning into that. So
that point that you just made though about whether it's worth it going from whatever you've got in the 40 series to the 50 series is quite a big one, because that's not just specs. Like, you can have any amount of spec increase, but it needs to be driven by content as well, right? There's no point in going from playing Wii games at 300 frames per second to playing them at 350 frames per second. Like, it's not going to make a difference to that many people. And at the moment, you got a 4090, which is as good as PCs can get today, really. Do you find that there is content that you can't quite reach the epitome of at the moment? Is the 5090 going to like unlock some doors and let you play some things that you couldn't right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think so. Like, I don't think there's anything that I could load up conceivably now. I mean, that's qualified by what am I playing the thing at? As in, if I'm playing at 4K and I'm using DLSS anyway, and I'm using frame gen, there's nothing that the 4090 can't pull off with path tracing and stuff. Like, the only game I've ever seen it struggle with all those, and I say struggle, and by struggle I mean it might dip below 60, is Wukong, with full path tracing and all that stuff. And that's because it's not a particularly well optimized game anyway. But you can load up Indiana Jones, and you put frame gen on and 4K and max it out and put the full path tracing on, and you're 90, 100 frames per second in the majority of the areas of the game. So the 5090, for example, is going to do that, but it's going to do it at maybe 200, 250 frames a second. To me, that's probably enough of a selling point, to be honest. Because I like playing at higher frame rates. I think if you were only ever interested in 60 FPS and you had a 4090, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? What's the point going to a 5090? Because they're really focused. They seem to be focusing almost in part on that new, this new kind of range of OLED monitors that are coming out that are super high refresh rates. Mm-hmm. So I think if you're locking at 60, a 4090, the content-wise, a 4090 is going to blitz for everything anyway, and it will do for the foreseeable future.
There's a couple of things on the horizon that might, that they're going to lean on. One of them is The Witcher 4, because Nvidia have a good relationship with CDPR, and they lean heavily on them with Cyberpunk to kind of prove out their technology and bring the path tracing to that game and all the rest of it. So you can expect they're going to do a whole lot of working with CDPR for The Witcher 4, and we've already seen it in the trailer. The trailer was running on this unannounced Nvidia card. And the other one that catches my eye as like, this might be significant as an upgrade is Doom: The Dark Ages, because that's the first the first game coming that supports full path tracing that also traditionally relies on having a really high frame rate, or plays better with a really high frame rate in quite a significant sense. So if you want to enable everything in Doom: The Dark Ages, then this card is probably going to, or this series of cards is probably going to stand out as a damn good option, albeit expensive. Whether two games like that is enough to tip you towards buying one of these things, that's not for any of us to say. Everyone's perception of value and disposable income and all that shit is their own, but those are the ones that will catch people's attention, I would reckon. Let's talk about some of the other things from CES. We're not going to talk about everything that was there because it's a consumer electronics show. It's not necessarily entirely games focused. But the other thing that made some headlines, caused some little waves, was probably Valve and their partnership. Oh God, I've forgotten. Was it Lenovo they're doing it with? Yeah, their Lenovo partnership. So they're bringing SteamOS to a handheld in an official capacity, but they've also been talking through interviews and all the rest of it. To say that that's not the full extent of their plans. That's the only partner that they've got at the moment to bring an official handheld with SteamOS out. But they are also working to make SteamOS more compatible and make it a viable alternative to Windows for people that are playing games. Darge, you got a Steam Deck or not?
Yeah, I've got a Steam Deck.
How do you find, in terms of just a person using SteamOS, how is it for games? How do you find it?
Absolutely no problem with it at all. I love it, like as a layout and everything, and the way it operates and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of it, and I can see like with what Valve are doing here. I think is it the Lenovo Legion 2? I think is going to be
No,
the
it's
next.
later. It will be on the
and
2 as well, but this is
on the 2,
something
yeah, it's
else.
going to be like flavors as well. Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Like I've seen people saying about this race, like the OS race now. You know what I mean? And Steam's clearly they've got the numbers right. You know what I mean? They've got like 30 odd million people. It's appealing to get it on there. And also, I'm surprised as well with the Steam Deck, bearing in mind that mine's like one of the first iterations of it, like, LCD screen and this, that, and the other. I'm surprised the amount of support. A lot of the games that are supported to run on there. So, like, for a partner to get in bed, so to speak, with Valve, you got something that works with the OS. There's a massive install base for it, and also a lot of software that can be played, and obviously if the more powerful the hardware, the even better the performance of those games as such. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've got no listen, when a Steam Deck 2 comes or something like that, it's something that I now will make a part of my gaming setup. You know what I mean? Because just with the Steam, like I said about Ratchet and Clank earlier, obviously it takes the resolution down and this, that, and the other standard. But performance-wise, ease of use, syncing data across the PC and everything. It's just I really like it. So yeah, I'd be all for these ROG allies and fucking there's loads of them now. I don't even keep up. It was the Lenovo, the ROG Ally. There's some other one at CES that they showed off, like some big 11-inch. I think that was a Lenovo as well, wasn't it? I can't remember if it was a Lenovo. Yeah, it was huge, but handheld market is kicking off, and like if they're just going to start baking SteamOS into them, it's good. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a wise move from Valve as well, as to try and grab that market by the balls, if you will, and try and get that OS in everywhere because, like I said, they've got the numbers, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Valve have a lot to gain because as they're in a nice position because their SteamOS is entirely gaming focused, which means every device that they put it on, they can expect revenue from people shopping on Steam. Whereas Microsoft are not in the same position with Windows. So Windows is a licensing fee, like upfront. Any device with Windows on it is going to be more expensive than the equivalent device with Steam on it, which is a really nice marketing position for Valve to be in if they can get it right. Luke, have you used SteamOS much in any capacity?
Yeah.
You love it? You got a Steam Deck? Have you got any others?
Yeah.
Have you got any Windows handhelds as well, or just a Steam Deck?
No, just a Steam Deck. I don't. I am interested in a Windows handheld, but I've kind of been put off just by the fact that it is Windows on a handheld. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just full fat Windows, and that brings with it a whole host of things that I don't think are particularly conducive to handheld play. So yeah, I've had a Steam Deck since launch. I've got the OLED model now. But I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's probably one of the best gaming OSs out there. And as Darge said, like the ease, if you and who doesn't on PC, like if you're playing on Steam, if you're using Steam and that's where your library is, it's just so convenient to switch it off on your main PC and then you pick up the save from the cloud and then you're right back in it on the Steam Deck, and all of this kind of integration and sort of familiarity with the system is really helpful through the device. And I think it would be actually very cool to experience maybe a different handheld, but still with that same familiarity, because it opens up the choice of hardware for you effectively. It means that you can kind of game on everything. So I don't know what that will look like in terms of performance for these games that are using SteamOS, because ultimately they're still, Steam is based on Linux. I presume probably be the same, except limited by your hardware, obviously. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's a really clever move from Steam because from Valve, sorry, because they just don't care if you buy their hardware or not. Like they really do not care, because ultimately, if you're shopping through Steam, that's where they make their money.
Mhm.
So I think it's clever for them to almost kind of like web out into the PC handheld atmosphere and go, yeah, you know, whatever, you can buy our hardware and we really like our hardware, but there's a lot of options out there, and as long as you play on Steam, we're happy. So why not put our OS on these things as well? But it's good. It's a good OS. It's a good OS.
If they came out, and they've tried it before, but if they came out now and said, here's SteamOS for your big box, would you just immediately be like, yes, I'm taking that over Windows on the big box, or would you stick with what you know?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because again, it's the problem is as well on the big box is that you want stuff like, or at least for me, I still want stuff like Game Pass access and all that kind of stuff. And obviously the two don't interlink at all at the moment. In the future, who knows? Maybe they would, but doubt it to some extent. So I'd probably still stick with Windows there, because I mean, Windows is very frustrating on PC from a gaming perspective, because there are many things that Windows does that degrade performance on games, which has been shown over the last few months. Various apps on it are not particularly good for that experience, and I think it's a difficult experience to navigate through if all you want to do on your PC is game. So notwithstanding that, it still has some advantages in terms of just again familiarity and the fact that you can access everything else in an easier way, I suppose, Game Pass and such. So I'd probably still stick with that. But in the far future, I mean, who knows what these systems, these operating systems will look like. And it might be one day that people are just installing SteamOS on their PC and calling it a day, and not, there's nothing else on there. So, don't know.
I think like what Luke's saying now, I think Valve are quite happy with the desktop setup anyway. Like, do you know what I mean? In regards to an OS, I think they're attacking the handheld market. Maybe, there's been these, I know we don't obviously lean too heavy in the rumours, speculation stuff, but like the console industry, maybe they're going to be like smaller form factor boxes by all these companies like Lenovo's and fucking ROG and this, that and the other, like Alienware could do it as well. And maybe there'd be a smaller form factor console market going forward that they'll try and attack that. But as for the desktop, I think they're quite happy with where they are. Like, who am I to know? You know what I mean? But as a desktop user, as Luke said there, you've got Windows, you've got multiple differing things, whereas SteamOS right now is gaming focused. Like one thing I like about the Steam Deck and the SteamOS, that it reminds me of someone who was a console player, like i.e. the Xbox and stuff like that. Just the layout, the ease of use of the layout and everything, the two side windows that come in. It's a gaming OS, excuse me, whereas obviously Windows is a multitude of what it can be done. But I think maybe the industry is leaning in a way that Chris, like I've spoken to Chris, and Chris has said about these sort of like hybrid form factor types could become a thing, with the console, not the console war, but the console industry changing. You can see these Lenovo's and these PC manufacturers and stuff like that sort of starting to put these form factors together, and then it will be an OS race of who's going to get on them. Do you know what I mean? Or are they going to have multiple OSs on them, or what? You know what I mean? But I think as far as the big box is concerned right now, I don't think Valve are going to push. What are you laughing at?
We're bringing out the you know what I means again, and I love it. Carry on.
Oh, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't see Valve. I think Valve are very, very happy right now with the desktop space where they are. It's allowing them to reach out into other avenues, so to speak. So I think that's what will happen with the console industry. I think you'll have more third parties coming in. We'll see.
That we will. You know what I mean? We're going to. Let's move on from the drier bit onto the games again. We're going to move on to the Xbox Dev Direct, which is the 23rd of January. Microsoft have announced it. The last couple of years they've had a Dev Direct and they've been really, really good. So it's naturally a thing to be quite excited about. They've already announced for this one, we're going to be seeing 3 really big games, 3 games that all of us mentioned throughout our 2025 lead-in show as things that we're excited about coming up. And we've got Gears of War E-Day. We've got Doom: The Dark Ages, which all 3 of us listed as a top 3 game for us. And you've got Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Those ones they've confirmed are coming, are going to be there. They've also put a 4th unannounced title on there, saying there's a studio bringing them a game that we don't know about yet. So at least 4, potentially even further surprises before that. Let's talk about Xbox Dev Direct. Gears of War E-Day. What do you want to see from it, Luke?
What do I want to see other than what we've...
No, what do you want? No, the games that we've already got. So I'm in a weird position where quite often when I'm talking about games and trailers and things like that, I say that I don't care for trailers for games that I know that I'm going to play. All 3 of those games that I know about, I know that I'm going to play them. So I don't actually want to see anything of them. But what are you hoping to see for Gears of War E-Day at Dev Direct?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah, it's not confirmed to be there.
Confirmed.
Yes, it is.
Do you mean Doom?
No, I thought Gears was on it. What was the 3? Have I completely missed something?
Doom Dark Ages.
Oh, you're right, because it was South of Midnight. Fuck, sorry, my bad.
You're just projecting
my bad.
Out there.
I should have paid more attention. Okay, so the 3 games there, South of Midnight. Start this a bit again, right? Everyone just, if you're watching, don't rewind, because then you have to listen to the fuck up all over again. Don't rewind. Pretend that didn't happen. So Xbox Dev Direct is coming up. They've announced 3 games: Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, and Clair Obscure Expedition 33. These are the ones that are coming. There's a 4th game. Nobody knows what it is. This is not me leaking anything about it being Doom. This is not me leaking anything about it being Gears of War E-Day. This is me being a complete donkey. I've not heard anything about it. I don't know why I said that. So, Doom then, Luke. Same question. Doom is coming. You love it. You want to play it.
Yep.
What are you hoping to see at Dev Direct?
I'm like you. I'm going to play it, so I don't want to see too much, but I do want to see just some uninterrupted gameplay and, a quick run through of some the main new features of the game, from combat to traversal and that sort of stuff. That's pretty much it. I don't need to see much else, but I would like to, because they released that trailer, which was kind of just cut splices of gameplay. So we have seen how it plays already to a very limited extent. So I just want a bit more of that, and for them to give me a release date if they fancy. I would they're not going to do this here, but I'd really love for them to show the path tracing stuff.
I was gonna ask that actually. What version do you reckon they should show at an Xbox Dev Direct, given their current identity?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So I don't know is the answer, because sometimes publishers will just show on PC and although to be fair, Sony don't do this very often. They always show on PS5, apart from maybe rare instances where they will show something on a PC build. Xbox, I mean, their identity is very different now, but I still think they're going to show this running on an Xbox, basically. So I don't think we'll see all the magic of what this will look like on a high-end PC. Sadly. But who knows? They might surprise us. We saw a little glimpse of what it looks like on a high-end PC in that Nvidia sizzle reel. And even that looked fantastic. So I don't have any doubt, even on not in a snobby way, but even on Series X, it's gonna look really nice. So yeah, I think they'll show it on console. But I don't need to see much. I just need to see some uninterrupted gameplay, that's all.
What about you?
I was just going to say, I agree. I think with these dev directs, I think we'll have the team obviously talking about certain aspects and this, that, and the other. I think we will get that uninterrupted segment of gameplay, you know, highlighting certain glory kills and, you know, techniques of stuff that he's got and this, that, and the other in this game. But it's for funny conversation, right? About what version do you think we'll see? Because everything is an Xbox now. Do you know what I mean? So I would like to think, part of me would like to think that they're going to show Series X and S performance, so console focused display. I think id Software will do a really, really good job of this game anyway on console, like, because Doom Eternal looked incredible. I just watched the trailer that you just played back there. I would like to think what they would do after the Dev Direct is maybe upload a separate video, maybe on the Doom channel or something like that of YouTube, showing uninterrupted fucking pock out. You know what I mean? Like PC performance. But like I say, you know, Doom Eternal looked really good on console anyway, and I'm sure this game will look great on console as well. So whenever we see what we see, like I say, if they do a whole segment after dedicated to full path tracing in the world of Doom Dark Ages, then Luke's obviously got that after. But we don't know, you know, because everything's an Xbox. They might show us the cloud version, you know, with choppiness. But yeah, I you know, these dev directs, I think, because it's free games, they all get a nice slice. Obviously, they have the surprise. You know, I know they've got the one box with the question mark, but sometimes don't be surprised if they squeeze another one in there, and you know, it could end up being 5 games that we talk about. But I think it'll get a nice presentation and a nice long one. I've got a feeling it will come out fairly soon. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. As someone who's enjoyed the reboot, we spoke on this before. The 2016, the Doom Eternal. Yeah, I can't wait for this. Just seeing that little trailer again's got me a bit juiced up. So yeah, I don't know. They're not going to. I can't imagine they're going to show like the full blown fucking ray traced version of the game to the console fan base. You know what I mean?
But like, that is a difficult one for them, for their marketing department, because this is an event that's going to have a decent amount of eyes on it, and they're showing off their game. So there's going to be people there that want to put their best foot forwards, right, and show the best version of that game to get the most attention and sell it as hard as you can. And there's going to be fallout on people that get upset by it if they do that.
I just think like an easy way of navigating that is going with the middle ground, so to speak, of console, showing the S and the X version, paying a little bit of respect to the console fan base, and then after the fact, a separate upload for the PC community. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like, and the PC, like, you know, that one could be a presentation, full blown path tracing in the world of Doom Dark Ages. And I think everyone's a winner that way. You know.
Yeah. So, despite the recent push in marketing to convince everyone that everything's an Xbox and all the rest of it, you reckon the Xbox Dev Direct should still have a console focus to keep that core audience engaged?
Yeah, I'm a believer. Obviously, the console fan base itself made Xbox what they are to a degree. Like, you know what I mean? A little bit of homage for them wouldn't go amiss, especially considering the current marketing push. But it's going to be interesting, right? Because this is the first one since, and then also like I think I brought the conversation up in the Discord, like, because everything is an Xbox now. Now, surely you showcase all avenues of your market, right? But I don't know, like, you know, we'll see what happens.
It's difficult as well because this is Doom is the biggest audience for this is PC. It's Doom. It's not going to be the consoles, so you know, they're going to do that thing where they show, like, they did this with Eternal actually, when they showed the gameplay, and it was like very, and the original Doom 2016, where it was like very very slow cinematic movements through environments, you know, and very deliberate shooting, when in reality you've got like a fucking like 4,000 DPI mouse going absolutely all over the screen, you know, and that's the gameplay. But obviously on a controller, it will look completely different to that. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of a tricky one. I think Darge, that's probably the best idea, that they go after the show. They go, here's some, you know, uncompressed capture from a PC version running on a 50 series GPU or something like that.
I mean, obviously, they're a little bit tone deaf with listening to their audience, so to speak. You know what I mean? But I think the best way of going about it is having this presentation, obviously, console focused. I think the PC community will be quite happy if Nvidia's channel themselves or Doom upload a 5-minute trailer of complete uninterrupted, full path traced, you know, full strength, even full strength for the new cards. Like, you know what I mean? Like they can do loads like that way, you know. But I think if they go to their console fan base, oh, here's how it looks, but on a PC, you know, like I think they'll do an X and S comparison. I think id Software will do a great job of the game anyway. I think it'll look great regardless. And as for the PC enthusiast, hopefully a separate trailer, but we'll see.
We will see. Gunstar, thank you for the super chat. There wasn't a message there, but I think he said afterwards it's for a pint for Darge. So much appreciated. Definitely helps us keep going. So thank you.
A different show if I had a pint.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's do South of Midnight, because this one's a little bit different for me. So Doom, I've just said, like, I kind of don't want to see it. I'll look at it because it's Doom, and they can't really be. You're not going to get Doom spoilers that are going to ruin that game. It's not like the way that Square Enix show their games and just ruin the whole thing. Doom is going to be fine. So watch that trailer. I'll be all right. But I also don't need to see it personally because I'm day one on Doom. Regardless, South of Midnight, I'm less confident of. South of Midnight, it's still coming to Game Pass, so it's so easy to jump on it and play it and figure it out for myself. But I don't have the best of internet connections, you know. That's a commitment to download that thing. So I might take a closer look at this one to see if I'm interested or not. We've seen gameplay. We've seen like specific sections of gameplay. They've pulled out like, this is what it looks like when you're platforming. This is what it looks like in combat. What do we need to see from South of Midnight, Darge? I
just, you know, I'm already sold on this game. Like, even I've been playing Ratchet and Clank, and it's had me thinking of South of Midnight. You know, it's going to kind of be that actiony sort of, not a platformer so much. But I was like, I think we said it last week, I was kind of sold on the game anyway, artistically, you know, the presentation and stuff like that. Just show me more of it, you know, maybe again, like another gameplay segment. I know we've seen these like heavily cut sort of thing. Mind you, they showed a nice slice of gameplay before. I feel like there's no secret in the games that are being shown here. You know, with Expedition 33, I think in March or whenever that is, I've got a feeling these games are all going to get their dates, and I just got a feeling they'll show a bit more South of Midnight and probably hit us with like you know, like April, maybe sooner. Fuck, you just don't know, right? But yeah, just show me a bit more of the game, maybe another little story beat. You know what I mean? Maybe a little teaser with the story, you know, to kind of get you like, oh, I wonder what's happening, you know. But yeah, something along that line, I reckon that'd do. I don't think. I mean, what do you want to see? Is there anything particular you want to see? Whilst I listen,
I don't know, actually, because they have shown quite a lot. I'm not sold on the game, and I'm not sure that they can sell me on the game at this point. It's one of those things. It's on Game Pass, I'm going to play it. If it wasn't on Game Pass, realistically, I don't think I would buy it. And I'm intrigued by the setting and a lot of the things that it's doing, but gameplay wise, I'm just not sold on it. It looks like Kena Bridge of Spirits. And I'm not sure it's for me. So can they change my mind on it? I don't know. Tune in a couple of weeks to find out. I don't really know what they can do though. I think I'm just a stubborn dickhead and I don't deserve nice things. So they should ignore me. And
at least you're admitting it.
Wow, I'm not proud of it, Luke. I'm not proud of it. like you, I know we've spoken about this before, and you kind of see my perspective on it being like a Kena Bridge of Spirits, but you're more enthusiastic for it, right?
I am, but I don't. I don't really care for seeing it here. Like, I think this almost takes up, and I don't mean it in this way, but it feels like it's taking up a space that's not needed, because we have already seen so much of it. We've seen uninterrupted gameplay. We've seen gameplay clips. They released a whole 45-minute making of documentary showing a lot more and all the background. And I know why they have it here. Clearly, they have it here so they can announce a release date to a bigger audience. So I completely understand that. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be here, and I think there's nothing they can do now to sell it to people that aren't interested in it, because they won't show anything novel from the game. Like you said, it's basically a Kena Bridge of Spirits type of game, which is, I really enjoyed Kena and it's very fun, but it's not going to change the world in any way. You know, where this game will perhaps be very unique is obviously its art style and its story and its setting and that sort of stuff. But from a pure gameplay perspective, that, you know, it's fairly standard fare action adventure, really. So again, I totally understand why they're doing it here. They'll get a big audience for the direct. They can announce the release date, and that will hopefully translate for them for more engagement in the game when it releases. But yeah, other than that,
what are we thinking, lads? Because I listened to you both. So obviously you said about Game Pass, Asa. Like I feel like this is going to be like Hellblade, sort of £30-40 game for Xbox. Like if you're buying it, outside of Game Pass, obviously like Steam and whatever. And also, what if this ain't the only developer direct this year, though? What if they're showing what they're showing at this? I know what you said, Luke, about you don't understand why it's here and this, that, and the other. But what if they're lining it up now that they're showing you these 3 plus 1 and whatever else, because they're coming in the immediate before the summer showcase? Obviously, you'll have the summer showcase, and maybe they have another one at the end of the year. You know, maybe they're just trying to build the hype up. You know,
I mean, they'll definitely have a big E3 showcase anyway.
Yeah.
So that will serve as a middle of the year dev direct effectively for the next 6 months after that, plus the future. But yeah, I think it's just here because they want to announce when it comes out, so people are aware, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm just not excited for that, and I just hope that the segment for this is just a bit shorter as a result, because the people really want to see Doom, and I think people are quite interested in Expedition 33 as well, and seeing more of that. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think South of Midnight will be like third time maybe of seeing it or something like that, and I think it'll be like a quick presentation with a date, and that's the end of it, you know. And I think the other 2, Expedition 33, I'm not too sure. Obviously, I remember the reveal at the Xbox event in the summer. But if we haven't really seen anything, I think that'll get a lot more dedicated presentation time. So yeah, I think South of Midnight's there purely for release trailer and nothing more. Hopefully.
So we've got those 2. We've got the exception amongst a bunch, and it's not unusual because they've done this in the 2 previous dev directs as well. They had the whatever of Mana game, Legend Trials. I can't remember the order of them, but they had a third-party game last year. They've got a third-party game this year. Clair Obscure Expedition 33. It's Xbox associated in that they have the marketing, and it's coming to Game Pass. This is one where, like you just said, we've not seen as much of it. We've seen a trailer that caught attention and turned heads because it looked gorgeous, and it's doing something a lot of people have been asking for, being a turn-based game. Luke, what do we need to see from Clair Obscure?
I think again, just uninterrupted gameplay. Again, we've seen this game before. We've seen some kind of spliced gameplay segments from it. I I think uninterrupted gameplay would be nice, or a narrated gameplay walkthrough would be cool. That also explains some of the systems in the game. Again, a bit like the Doom one, to be honest. And release date would be lovely. And I genuinely think that's probably all you need from this. Just a bit more detail on the moment to moment of the game and the systems at play and all of that stuff. And then jobs are good. And
I would like them to show me. When we talked about it last week, whenever it was, I said that my reason that I'm not necessarily confident is that the studio is obviously quite unknown, and everything that we've seen has been very tight. So the only thing that I want to see from this trailer really is some evidence of the scope and scale of the game, because that's my open question on it. I just want to see, ideally, that it's quite big. I'm torn on it because there are too many big games, and I'm probably okay if it is quite linear, but I want to see that there is some scope for it being open, some scope for configuring your team and your party, some scope for like having a different experience to somebody else that's playing it, having some choice in how it plays out. That's what I want to see them present to me. But it has just reminded me of the criticism of the last two Dev Directs as well. And Darge, I'll let you talk about Clair Obscure and this particular criticism. One thing that a lot of people didn't enjoy about Dev Directs is it is a show that focuses on developers rather than just the games themselves. We don't know this developer. Do you want to see a walk around of their office? Do you want to see what they do on their break times? Do you want to see these developers riding around on bicycles or whatever we saw in Dev Direct last time?
I would, because I'm very nosy. But other than that, all joking aside, this game now, like obviously you got the trailer up, and this is, excuse me, all I remember was cleverly cut, footage of the game. So again, like we said about Doom Dark Ages, what we don't see from this game here is a playthrough segment of the game. In regards to seeing the devs, I mean, it's good seeing the devs, especially like when it's one we don't know, like these. And then obviously what they do, regardless if they're fucking, all playing beer pong or whatever, I want to know that like when they're talking, you'll hear their scope and they'll tell you more about this game in regards to your questions, with the openness of it and stuff like that. So like, as far as a developer direct goes as an idea, I think it's a good idea, and some of them are good, some of them aren't. And then, like you say, you get some of the foolery and stuff like that. But in regards to this one in particular, I'd expect to be finishing this Dev Direct and knowing more about the game instead of the office environment of the team. You know what I mean? So, yeah, kind of on both questions. I just want to know more about it, because it does look like we spoke last week about it, didn't we? And I said about the French Renaissance, scenery and this, that, and the other. Like, it looks very good looking. So yeah, just show me more of it. It'll be another release date. I think it's a Game Pass game, right? I think it launches day one in Game Pass. So yeah, I've got a feeling the games that are going to be here are all going to have dates attached to them. We said last week on the show it was a bit sketchy with dates, didn't it? And for this year so far, and I think, I think we'll get a date. I think we'll get to see a bit more of this game and what it does, and and we'll probably get to see what weird shit they get up to at the studio. But that's about it.
I'm not even going to stop typing right now because you finished talking anyway. So it's just there's a couple of people. Replicant was talking in chat about memories of Doom 2 multiplayer. Obviously, Doom is coming up at this developer direct. We've seen various bits and pieces of it. One thing that we haven't seen of Doom at all is multiplayer. And Doom, the last two entries, so Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, both sold through and were carried by their single player campaigns and the gameplay that people know and love from Doom. But it does have a legacy of multiplayer, and it is something that it did not give up on whatsoever in the last two entries, right? They both had substantial multiplayer portions that kind of fell on their faces a little bit. So Doom 2016 tried to bring back like the arena shooter, as it were. It really tried to be a traditional Quake-like arena game, as people perhaps remember Doom being. And then that didn't really work out, and for Doom Eternal they dropped it and they brought in this asymmetrical Slayer versus Demons mode, and put a lot of like a fair amount of the pre-release kind of marketing and stuff did actually focus on this mode as if it was something that they believed in. Don't think that particularly took off either. Interrupt there, Gamsley. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. That is massively appreciated as well. And those people that got them, do check out the Discord. You get all kinds of stuff with that membership. So use it. The Doom multiplayer, what do you reckon we get? Or what should they do? Should they just give up on multiplayer altogether? Should they pursue this asymmetrical thing? Should they try and bring back the arena shooter? Like your id, what do you do with Doom multiplayer? Darge.
I would just quickly, excuse me, I'd just quickly say, like, it's a novel idea, right? But the FPS, multiplayer environment's changed a lot over the years. Not to say they shouldn't do it. Like, I think it'd be good, but are they trying different things now, different angles to try and get you in? Like you said about that Demon versus Slayer mode and this, that, and the other. I mean, it'd be a great idea. I remember, like, back in the day at school, like, they had all the network computers and we'd all play, like, 30-player LAN parties in the IT class, Doom and stuff like that. But look, as I say, you're taking a crack at, Apex and Call of Duty and this, that, and the other. Are they wasting... Do they feel like they'd be wasting their time? I don't know. I mean, I know, like, Replicant has said it there. Excuse me. Do you think there'd be multiplayer? But all of us here, we'd enjoy it for 5 minutes, but would we dedicate, our time solely to it? You know what I mean? Like some of those Call of Duty players and that do. I don't know. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see it. We'd have some fun with it, with the community games and stuff like that. But I don't know. What do you reckon, Luke?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page. I'm not really that bothered. I did play some of the multiplayer in Doom and Eternal. I played more of Eternal. But it's not where the meat and potatoes of that game is anymore. Even though it's an FPS and it's fast-paced, FPS, it just doesn't feel like multiplayer is a big part of it. So I would be interested to see what they do with it, but I'm not really hugely interested in it myself, basically. So
I'm torn because there's like this really slim chance that they capture lightning in a bottle and make the arena shooter that I remember from my childhood, that I do play for a long period of time and do want, but it's super unlikely. More likely, what Darge just said is exactly right. This game comes along, you play the multiplayer for 5 minutes at most, and you move on either to the usual Marvel Rivals live service nonsense, or to other comfort games and other single player games. But what you said there, though, Darge, about it being a 5-minute thing, and the thing that, the reason we get multiplayer modes tacked onto games in the way that we do is it is the mode that has the potential to last. Like a single player campaign, most people will play once and stop. Even one as good as Doom, some people will spend time on it. And Doom Eternal had like challenge modes and things that you could go and do if you were really into the feel of it. But for most people, you played that, maybe you did the DLC, maybe you didn't, and then you were done. Multiplayer is one of those things where they'll be looking at it going, if we want this game to really blow up, maybe we need to try and nail that. And it's a really difficult one for them to get right, because they've not quite managed it the last two. But
I mean, you got if they really went for it, obviously you got that whole esports thing that's going on now, right? Oh, it's been going on for a while, but I don't really pay attention to it. But if they really wanted to go for it, that's the avenue they'd have to go through. Like, make it massive in the esport world, and make it super fun and addictive, where these teams start, like you see it all the time, all these other games like Halos and all that, they're all doing it, Apexes, and really go for it in that regard. But it's, like anything, it's like a big roll of the dice, you know what I mean? And time and this, that, and the other. I could see a world where, like 6v6 Doom or something like that is a thing. But it's whether id Software and Microsoft and all that, if they see Bethesda, if they see it worth it, breaking into that market, and that's the sad thing about it. The industry's changed. So yeah, I don't really know. I'd like to see it. Like I said, we'd have our fun with it, and and this, that, and the other. But I think nowadays it's not just about some people having their fun with it. It has to really fucking go off. You know what I mean? But we'll see. I said it earlier. You know, we will see what they do. And I think if id are not doing it, then it's not worth it. Basically, I don't think it's a case of them going, "Nah, fuck that." Like, we can't be bothered. I think it's just not worth, you know, the time. Personally, but I don't like putting words in others' mouths.
Maybe they're commercially happy with what they can do as a single player game. No, that's fine if they are, like, you know. I want to just because we're talking about Dev Direct and we're talking about what you do and don't want to see from Doom. I guess I said I don't care to watch Doom because I'm getting it day one and I'll play it myself. I would be curious about the multiplayer if they want to show something off that I don't know anything about as of today. I'd be quite interested to see what they are doing ahead of time on that one. I want to shout out Patrick, who has been with us as a gold, like highest tier of membership for an entire year. He said, happy 1 year anniversary. Forgot to get me a gift. You have got me a gift, Patrick. The gift is you being on the Discord. And the ridiculous number of gifts that you do put on there as well. So thank you for that. It is brilliant. You're one of my favorites, Patrick. You're one of my favorites. Don't tell the rest of them. And we had Dave Mack as well, has renewed his Twitch. This was a bit earlier on, so hopefully it's still there. But Dave Mack renewed his Twitch subscription for the 10th month as well. So thank you, Dave. Also one of my favourites. Good job. We'll play that Gran Turismo real soon. It's in the works. It's in the works. Let's talk about, and Darge, I'm going to get you to talk about this one because you put it on a topic list, and I don't know a lot about it because I don't follow the social medias too closely. But it's related to Xbox's Dev Direct. There have been rumours, leaks, whatever you want to say, speculation about the games that Xbox are planning to release this year, and there being potentially quite a large number of them. I mean, what's going on?
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because obviously I know I've said it about fucking 20 times so far tonight. I know we don't usually talk about rumour and speculation, right? But I thought it'd be a good conversation to have. As someone who don't have Game Pass anymore, you know, and I said what I'd like is more third party based upon only sort of 3, maybe 4 first party games coming out. It wasn't enough for me. And then there was this rumor, or not a rumor. I mean, the guy knows his stuff. He's got quite a few things right in the past, and he's speculated that obviously you got Doom South of Midnight Avowed coming this year, but then you got like from Xbox, you got Oblivion remake, which some people were speculating could be the mystery game at the Dev Direct. Outer Worlds 2, Towerborn, Fable, Gears E-Day, which was fucking shocking to me. Gears Collection, and obviously the Call of Duty. And that's without Fable. Oh no, sorry, Fable is on there. And it just got me thinking, like, I spoke to Luke about it, and I was like, first of all, you know, like pinch of salt with his stuff, you know. But then I thought, fucking hell. First of all, I thought if they bring them amount of games out and there are Expedition 33s and others throughout the year and this, that and the other, that'll be an incredible year for the service of Game Pass. But does it then make a rod for their own back going forward, right? And this is my only, like, why I'm not really taking it at face value at the minute, because if Xbox put these out within 12 months, then naturally people are going to demand more, right? Or at least equivalent. So, yeah, I batted it. I said, like, put it in there. I wanted to know what your opinions are. Like, you know, Gears E-Day, Fable, Outer Worlds 2, like all them games coming this year. Where do you stand with it? And also, with regards to the Game Pass angle, you know, do you think they'd make a rod for their own back? You know, because a lot of these games here that are mentioned to be allegedly coming out this year, if they do, then we don't know what else is coming, because it's quite a lot in one hit, right? I know you got Perfect Dark and Contraband, but you know they'd really be chucking their load out double quick, so to speak. So yeah, I thought I'd bring it up. You know what I mean? So what do you reckon?
So I'm gonna jump in because I want to catch these various super chats and membership things as well. In fact, I'll do that first. So Gavsy said, play Nintendo games, and also what am I drinking? I'm on a sickly sweet, delicious red wine, Gamsley, and I would like to play Nintendo games, and hopefully Nintendo will give me some suitable hardware to do just that in the near future. Hopefully. Episode 13 has been a member for 11 months and says it's nice to see us back in action. Good times. It is good to be back doing things. Thank you, episode 13, again, for being around for so long and being active in the ways that you are. We've also got Isla has just put everyone's she sees me congratulating people, or thanking people, even congratulating is the wrong word, but thanking people for their lengthy support of 12 months. And she says, look at me, 43 months on Twitch. That's before I was even born. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. That's yeah. Thanks. That's all very sweet. So, Darge, your concern here, what you're getting at is that maybe Xbox have overstuffed or overpacked the calendar this year, if that list proves to be true.
It's not a concern. Obviously, like the guy Nate, like he has a good track record, right? You know, nobody's perfect, right? Before someone jumps in and goes, "Hey, he got this wrong," but he has a pretty good track record. So with that, you know, that list of games there, like I'm thinking first and foremostly, as a consumer, I know your opinion is give me more, right? But then if Xbox deliver all of this as a Game Pass subscriber, would you expect that going forward, or would they make a rod for their own back? Same with the chat as well. Let me know in the chat, like, you know, what if you're a Game Pass subscriber and you get all that stuff plus all the any third parties and the indies and the would that set a precedent going forward, or would you just be okay with that being 1 year?
So for me, looking at this from like both perspectives, my own in terms of a person wanting games, the more good stuff that I'm fed, the better. Even if I know that I won't get around to all of those because there is only so much time in a year, right? Looking at it from like Microsoft's perspective, though, and the insatiable demand that their audience has for Game Pass to be stuffed with games. On the one hand, it's good that there is a lot of content that they can put into Game Pass. It's good that they've got that catalog, and probably from their perspective, good that they don't need to rely on third-party deals quite as much as they have in previous years. If I were at Xbox and I were trying to like put this strategy together myself, my concern would be that me personally, I like all of those games. And I reckon of that list, it's probably true for both of you. You'll look at that list and say, actually, I want to play almost all of them, maybe even every single one, right? And that's nice for their audience that they've already got. But me as a Game Pass subscriber, they could release one of those games into Game Pass and they'll get my subscription for a year because I'm a mug and I just stay subscribed. They could release 2 of them, they could release 3 of them. You release 12 of them, at that point you're throwing a whole load of money at me, and actually it's not changing how much you're making. I'm still staying subscribed to Game Pass, and I'm playing all of those, but I'm not spending any more money. There is not, I think, for Microsoft to achieve like their ambition with it, to grow Game Pass to their 2 billion gamers or whatever they want, there needs to be more games on that list that I don't care about. Realistically, if they want to grow the audience, I'm glad they're focusing on me. That suits me just fine. I'm here getting loads of games to eat. But they need to expand beyond that if they want to expand beyond that, if that makes sense. And to see, I don't care. I don't care about those people. I don't care about Microsoft expanding their audience. None of that means anything to me. But it's just curious. I'm surprised that they aren't getting more into games that I don't care about. What about you, Luke? What do you think of this rumored list and what Microsoft are doing with it?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they released all those games this year. I mean, like most people, I would have no issue at all with that. I mean, you know, by all means, give me Fable and Gears and Doom and, you know, all of this stuff in a single year. That would be great. But I just can't see them wanting to do that because, you know, they want to have a regular cadence of big games on Game Pass, and I don't think stuffing a lot of these games into 1 year when they could be spread out across a couple of years is the right decision. But it's plausible. I mean, maybe they've just, you know, they've got their own internal roadmap. They know when games are coming from their other studios. They've got so many studios anyway, that they can conceivably say, you know what, let's have a really big year. let's have a big splash this year and
Yep.
really push it, push for a lot of these releases. Maybe not everything on the list, but maybe, something big in addition to the stuff we already know that's coming, like Gears, for example. They might say, yeah, ED's ready, let's just get it out there. So I think it's going to be really interesting because even if the additional stuff that's on this list doesn't come out this year, they're still going to have a really big year of game releases. They've still got a lot of stuff. So I'm still excited either way, but that list seems bonkers to me. It seems a bit mad.
Yeah.
And from a strategy perspective, it would seem a bit mad to just drop that all in a single year. But one or two of those extra things, yeah, I could see that.
I wouldn't even be able to go through the whole Gears of War list there.
It's like you say about having a big year, but like that would be the most ridiculous fucking year ever. Like with all of that and the summer showcase, obviously some of these games will get dates, but then they'd obviously have to reveal new projects going forward. Coalition does make sense. Like E-Day, it wouldn't surprise me if E-Day if anyone was to produce like and go, yeah, it's ready. Like I'd be like, all right, sweet. Like, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be shocked by it. And then when you look at the list, like obviously Doom, we knew about Doom, Avowed, we knew about Avowed. Oblivion's a remake. The Outer Worlds 2, we knew about. Towerborn's a smaller game. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time, like when the acquisitions were all getting signed off and everything. Maybe this is the start of a new precedent. I don't know, but that would be fucking ridiculous if all that comes, and it'd be good. It'd be good for everyone. But I just thought it'd be interesting, like personally, just to bring this topic up. I know we don't usually touch on it too much, but more the conversation around the Xbox plan going forward, and even more so the Game Pass. I mean, I still maintain, I've been saying it in the chat there, for me, they could do like Gamsley was saying, one a quarter, and that'd still work perfectly for me. But for me, I also want more day one third party. Obviously, they had Metaphor, for example, last year, and stuff like that going in there. A few of them as well dropping in, and stuff like that would make it a more viable option for me personally. There's no right or wrong. Well, yeah, but I mean, like I bought Indiana Jones on Steam, because obviously I have that. If it runs like shit and someone makes a mod for it, I can quite easily slap that into the directory. You know what I mean? Whereas with Xbox, the UWP and the files and this, that, it's a little bit more of a pig, and that's just my preference, But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that list again now, and I'm just like, if that all happened, it would be fucking crazy. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know if you want to touch on. Do you want to touch on Nintendo as well?
What? I'm going to smoothly segue into something. So first, I'm going to get these messages. So Replicant's been a member for 15 months. Thank you, Replicant. He expects several of these games to go to the Switch 2 and the PlayStation 5 on day one. And Pete has been a member for 18 months and says that Isla likes attention, give her a cheer. I'm not a cheery person, but she knows that she's very much appreciated for years and years and years of support and help. So thank you for that. There was another part. Yeah, go on.
I just want to say to Patrick in the chat there, I wasn't downplaying Oblivion. I was just stating the fact that it's a remake of a game that's already been out. Like, it's not. I'm not downplaying it. You can have your, fucking dragon fantasy game. I won't trying to offend you, Patrick.
Oblivion killed 2 of my Xbox 360, so I've got a vendetta against that game. We'll see what damage and destruction the remake can do when it comes. But the other part of the rumor, so it's Nate the Hate, right? Is that the name?
Yeah.
The other part of the rumor, I think, that came from the same source on the same podcast was a little bit interesting to me when I saw it. Is that it was the Master Chief Collection is coming to PlayStation and Switch, which that gets a lot of Xbox people going, well, Halo's sacred and all the rest of it. But the one that caught my attention was Flight Sim, because Flight Sim potentially going to the Switch says a little bit about the capabilities of the Switch, because Flight Sim is not light to run. It runs on an Xbox One S, doesn't run on the previous generation of consoles. So if that game is playable on the Switch successor in handheld mode, then it's got a little bit about it, and that's nice to think. There has been a lot of rumors and a lot of speculation about what this console is, what this console isn't. The latest official statement from Nintendo is that the pictures of the Switch 2 that you've seen from the Consumer Electronics Show aren't official because Nintendo weren't represented there, which isn't to say that they weren't real, isn't to say that they are real. It's just Nintendo saying, please don't pay attention to that, we're not ready. Is there anything going on with the Switch that's got you excited, Darge?
I was going to say, like, obviously, Switch 2, I think I said it last week as well, like, 60 FPS docked mode, with regards to the resolution, whatever, like, it would be a purchase in this house. I mean, my little boy, he loves the Super Mario, like, 2D Wonder, it's called. He loves all that stuff, and Mario Kart and this, that, and the other. And we sort of speculated on it last week, and then CES happened, and is it Genki, Luke, the manufacturer of the accessories? I think that's what they're called, GENKI or something.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're like allegedly like a supported Nintendo accessory maker. And at CES, there was like a Switch 2, effectively, showing off their accessories, and then loads of other stuff came out. Like, obviously, Luke will go more in detail, but like the motherboard, and a video that I watched, that Mudahar guy, he went through some of the stuff, and he was saying that apparently, like, the chip and the board and everything that's been leaked, sort of based on 30 series Nvidia graphics. Is it Ampere or whatever it is? The yeah. So that's really exciting. And then obviously you hear. So obviously the rumor was it was going to be sort of Xbox One, PS4, power wise. So straight away that's good for me as far as I'm concerned with a 60 FPS. And then you hear this other stuff from Nate the Hate about Flight Sim, and then you're like, okay, like, it's exciting. I'm really excited. Luke will get into it more, but at this point, it's like Nintendo need to just announce this thing, announce what it does, and if Flight Sim is Switch 2 exclusive because the Switch can't do it, for example,
Switch can't do it.
Give us. No, that's what I'm saying. But it'll be, Nintendo need to speak. But then I heard someone else say, like, when they make plans over there at Nintendo, they don't fucking budge for anyone. So yeah, I'm really excited now to hear more about the Switch 2. But Luke, go on, mate. I know you're excited.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish they'd reveal it at this point. To be honest, I think they've, the amount of leaks that have come outside of Nintendo, it's kind of comical at this point. It's not just been one little thing; it's been everything from the chip design and RAM spec we knew over a year ago, like that was fully leaked by that point. And then to the logo leaking and the dock pictures, and then the full motherboard teardown and multiple Joy-Con leaks, full form factor. Like, it's just, why not just reveal it at this point? It must. I mean, it must be imminent. The thing is in production, so they need to just show it off at this point. Spec wise, I think it's really exciting for Nintendo. It's not going to compete with even a Series S for power. It will do some things, maybe it'll punch well above its weight because of its spec. It is based on Ampere, the architecture, so the 30 series. So it has RT cores, it has machine learning for DLSS. It is powerful in its own right, and as people have said, it's probably equivalent to something like an Xbox One S or a PlayStation 4. But with a much more modern GPU architecture, much more RAM, a much better CPU, a much more powerful, a more powerful GPU, particularly in docked mode. or a broadly equivalent one. And then it will have DLSS, so it will be able to do a lot. The flight sim one, I still can't quite believe, and it makes me think like it'll be a cloud version or something, because like that game is super intensive, and it's particularly intensive for RAM spec and stuff like that. So, but we did. I mean, I think it was not last Gamescom, the Gamescom before. We did. There were lots of strong rumors that they were showing it off behind closed doors, and they were running that Matrix Awakens demo on the Switch to to show its capability, and that's a very demanding piece of software in its own right. So if the idea of PlayStation 4 capability, let's say, but with DLSS is quite exciting, because if you look at some of the games on PlayStation 4 to this day, as an example, they look incredible. You look at Uncharted 4 or Ghost of Tsushima or Last of Us Part 2 or whatever. Like, these are games that are visually incredible still hold up. So, Nintendo devs having access to this is very exciting. Obviously, they're not going to be putting out something that looks like The Last of Us Part 2, but they could do.
It'd be great, wouldn't it?
It would be great, yeah. So I think it's really exciting, but I think the time has come, Nintendo, for you to show this now, and let people know when they can get it. I think that I would be surprised if this is coming out after summer. I think it's got to be probably spring at this point that this releases. So I could be entirely wrong, but to just show it and show me some games. I just want to see it.
It's a funny thing. Replicant's just super tested there as well. It's like Nintendo Switch 2 silence reminds me of Sony denying that the PS4 Slim, despite one becoming available from CES and Digital Foundry having a video of the unit running. And it's a weird one, because especially for Nintendo, even more so than Sony, it's true that for us, we see all of this stuff and we see all of these rumors, and we see, like, we've seen pictures of catalogs from CES that have pictures of Switch accessories and all the rest of it. But the Switch audience of 100 and however many million people, the people that follow it that closely and have seen this kind of stuff is minuscule relative to the audience that they've got, right? So for Nintendo, the moment that their official channels say anything about it, actually is quite significant. It is suddenly reaching a lot more people than it would right now. So I kind of get the strategy of just pretending that you can't see all of this shit and just occasionally saying, I don't know, because their reach is massive, and actually in terms of gaming it's, if you look at what Xbox are doing and what PlayStation are doing, Nintendo's reach, I'm sure there's a Venn diagram and there's a significant portion that overlaps, but they've also got a significant portion that reaches the Animal Crossing audience, right? It's a different group of people. So actually, I can understand why they're approaching it in the way that they are, but I'm with everybody else. I'm bored of seeing leaks and things. I want them to show me this thing and to sell it very quickly, and they should sell it very quickly. It was supposed to be, we've had Switch 2 rumors for at least the last 3 years, and there's a good chance that the hardware was essentially ready last year. Spec wise, it's not doing new things. The industry has been very challenging in terms of pricing of components and all the rest of it, and there's good reason for it to have not been released last year, but it could have done. Right, there's nothing in there that it's doing that couldn't have existed a year ago, apart from manufacturing capacity and all the rest of it, pricing. So I'm ready for it. There are loads of Nintendo games. We were talking about Pikmin 4 earlier, and the fact that I haven't played it. I haven't played a lot of Nintendo games this generation that actually I'm quite interested in. There's a lot of games on that console that I'm quite interested in, but I'm not a portable gamer. I play on my TV. I've got a 4K TV that is about 3 foot from my face, because that's just how I play games on my PC and my consoles. And the Switch couldn't really keep up. And it's weird, because I'll happily play a Sega Saturn game on that TV because my expectation is different, right? I'm not incapable of playing a game that looks like what a Switch can put out. I have a different expectation because it's current hardware, and I've had this impression that I'm going to be able to play those games better as soon as this damn piece of hardware lands in my lap. So I've been waiting, and I want to play some Nintendo games. I hope that it's announced soon. I hope that it's reasonably priced, and I hope that it's sitting in front of me, connected to my TV, putting out a good picture on new and old games as soon as possible.
I was just quickly going to say, like, I think obviously they probably delayed it due to waiting on the software to launch alongside it. I think is probably a delay there. Obviously, like Luke said, I think their fiscal year ends around April anyway, and it like at the end of the first quarter, something like that. So I think it makes sense for it to still come out in that year. But yeah, like one thing that would really appeal to me with the Switch 2 is more third-party support, and obviously us just briefly speaking about the rumoured specs on the board and this, that, and the other. I feel like there will be a lot more third-party support going forward on it now, and I think that'd be a massive coup for the handheld itself. You know what I mean? And the docked mode thing, obviously, I will only play it on the. I don't think I'll play it outside of handheld mode, outside of docked mode rather. But yeah, I'm really excited now. Luke's got me thinking about a Last of Us clone where Mario's trying to find Peach. You know what I mean? With real time photographic loveliness. But yeah, no, it's exciting. Another thing they need to announce it now.
So funny thing for me, because people always say that they like it's a line that I hear over and over again that the next Nintendo will have better third-party support. And personally, it's the thing that I care about the least, because those third-party games, I've got the ways and means to play them.
Yeah,
I get it, but I don't need another console to play Call of Duty on. I don't need, and that's Call of Duty is the one that's been brought up year on year for the last decade or so, that Nintendo don't have the support. They actually have really good indie support, and they have third-party support. It's just different to the third-party support that you get on PlayStation and Xbox. And I'm so okay with that, for the next console to be different to PlayStation and Xbox, because I just do not need more of the same. I do not need another console that plays the same games that I've already got. So in that sense, yeah, I mean, I still want it. I want it whatever it is. Even if they say there's no new games, it just plays the Switch games, but better. Fine, that's fine. I haven't played them. Give it to me. Give it to me now. Let's do... because there isn't actually any concrete Nintendo Switch 2 news to talk about. So let's move on to the questions that we've got from our beautiful community, because the first one is already available. I should have prepared this before introducing it, but it is here, it is ready. It is Gaming with Passion, the Demon Hunter, our Tuesday split streamer. No, that's you, Darge. Our Thursday split streamer most of the time. What is... or maybe this should be a who is, or maybe it's a what, I guess it depends what you choose, your favorite fighting game character? Demon Hunter likes Akuma and Sagat because they're kind of evil and cool. So they're a lot like me then, because I'm kind of evil and really cool. Fighting game. Shut up. I am. Fighting games. Luke, do you play fighting games? Who do you like?
I don't play fighting games. I did, like, when I was younger. My favorite character, it's quite an easy answer for me actually, this, and it's King from Tekken.
I don't like Tekken. He's the lion guy, isn't he? Like the tiger thing.
Yeah,
he's a jaguar actually.
Jaguar.
I'm trigger him.
But yeah, he's a wrestler and he's got a jaguar mask. So
oh, it's just a mask.
He was my go-to. Yeah. Well, it is.
That game has fighting bears, right? So it could have been a real.
Yeah. And then he does like his imitation of a jaguar growl is eerily accurate.
Do it for us.
I reckon.
Do it.
I reckon no.
Please do it.
I reckon he's no. I reckon he's actually Jaguar just with a human body.
Okay, that's fine. Darge, favorite fighting game character?
I see it, and it got me thinking. Like, because I played Street Fighter 2 back in the day. I used to always go for Guile.
No, you didn't.
Like, I did. I used to love that Sonic Boom and the upside down kick thing that you used to do. I used to spam the fuck out of that. But of recent, I'm not a big fighting game player, but Yoshimitsu from Tekken. I used to always be Yoshimitsu.
Nice.
and obviously Scorpion. Like any Mortal Kombat game is always Scorpion, you know. But yeah, probably the less shit answer is probably Yoshimitsu from Tekken. I really liked that character. I think it was especially Tekken 3. I was pretty good with him on that. But yeah, good question. Well, you'll have to.
I would say, that's kind of, it shouldn't be difficult, but it is difficult. It's probably Ryu from Street Fighter, on account of the fact that I don't like the character. Like, his backstory doesn't interest me, his aesthetic doesn't interest me, but he's the quintessential fighting character that I grew up with, in that he has a moveset that's familiar in every way. I know how to use Ryu in every game that he's in, which I'm not saying I'm good at Street Fighter games, because I'm not particularly, but he's just got a moveset that covers all bases in a really obvious way. So that's always been my go-to in Street Fighter, which makes, and Ken as well, but you know, I've gone with Ryu, so it is what it is. And Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur, because I was probably the best Mitsurugi player in the world. Probably the best Soul Calibur player in the world on the Dreamcast. Yeah, it didn't really have an online mode, so it's easy to claim. I can just be like, yeah, I was the best. Nobody could touch me. Games had online modes back in those days, I'd be much more humble, because I would have just been beaten up on a regular basis. But yeah, Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur. So let's have the next question, please. Chronic, they ruined Ryu when they made him into the Hulk. He's fine in Street Fighter 6. I didn't really play Street Fighter 5 very much. Street Fighter 6 is a really good fighting game that I wish I did play more. Should do that. Next question is from Tony. It says, it's my name, which I'm not going to read aloud because I don't like saying it. Being a 4090 owner, how many years should I be good with it until I upgrade? Usually, what's the lifespan of a GPU at 1440p resolution? That's too specific, Tony. I don't want to give you a committed answer on how long your graphics card is going to last, but the thing with PC graphics cards is there's a sentiment that you'll catch around the internet. You get a little whiff of it in the air where people say that you need to upgrade every year if you own a PC because your graphics card gets out of date, and it's not true. Your graphics card remains valid in the same way that a console graphic card remains valid. It will not lose any capability, it will not lose any capacity, it will still work. The 4090 as a graphics card is going to be, like, realistically, it's going to be better than the next generation of consoles just because price dictates that it must be. So it will probably last you for 100 years unless you chase the dragon. No, like the cutting edge. If you chase the cutting edge of the newest games, then PC gaming, yeah, no, I was entirely wrong. If you chase the cutting edge of the newest games, then you need the newest hardware to stay there, and then PC gaming becomes very expensive. But it's very personal to you.
Like what Nvidia do and these graphic cards, like obviously there is improvement, right? But it's like I own an iPhone, you know what I mean? And then the iPhone or Apple will come out and go slightly more megapixels on the camera, slightly better screen, slightly better this, slightly better that, better chip, you know, and you go out and buy it. But like someone in the chat earlier was saying they've got a 3080, and I'm like, that's a good card. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, but you know, someone like myself who suffers FOMO fucking terribly, I don't like being left behind. But yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add, Luke?
Not much. Yeah, like 1440p with a 4090 is like the definition of overkill as it is in the PC space at the moment. So, I mean, at least not until maybe well into the next console generation, as many years as that is. And even then, I mean, if you're at 1440p and you're dialing down settings, then it could last you. I mean, it's going to last you for many, many years, many years.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
But this is specifically Tony, who needs 1,000 frames per second for his lightning fast reflexes, right? So, no, Tony, that'll last for freaking ages. Don't worry about it. The next question is from Gaming with Passion, our Demon Hunter again. This one. Do you want the tech to smell game worlds? And what will be the first game that you'd load up to smell if you did have the tech? I'm going to say again, Demon Hunter, that if we get the technology to smell video game worlds, I do not want any more sewer levels ever. Games would typically be terrible to smell because most of them take you to dark, horrible places that you really wouldn't want to smell. So I don't want that technology. But I like the second part of the question where it's if you did have that to hand, what would be the first game that you would load up? No, Darge, get off the hentai section of Steam. Outside of that,
yeah, I was. Do you know what? In my head straight away, because I'm fucking unwell like that. I was going to say one, and I thought, no, it's Asa's show. I ain't going to say it just in case, like, the cut the atmosphere with a knife sort of thing. So I'll hold back on the original, but it'd probably be Pro Evolution Soccer 4. That's probably.
Which footballer do you want to smell? Please tell me.
In the east of London. No, just the smell of success. Like, I was too good at the game, so I mean, I kind of had that on me back in the day around the East End, but yeah, it was either Pro Evo. I ain't gonna say the other one. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not.
I can't believe you just come out and said that you want to smell footballers. You're so strange. Like, that's an admission.
It's one of the greatest games ever made. So,
maybe so. I wouldn't want to smell it.
No, I would.
Each to their own. Luke, what about you?
I don't even know how to answer this guy. I mean, firstly, no, I wouldn't be interested in smelling my game worlds. I guess I'd pick one where I'd be like really, because it was so different, I'd be really curious as to what things smelled like. So, like, maybe Doom Eternal. You know what I mean? Like,
demons.
What does an imp smell like? You know,
burning imp.
Like, what do you know?
One of the big
pretty similar
questions
to
in
a
life.
Pro Evo footballer.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Not my team.
Doom Eternal, I'll go for.
None of this like nice, gentle, like fruit ninja or whatever.
Yeah.
Just smell some nice apples or something.
You know what those smell like. So like, it's not interesting, is it? You know, I know what, you know, like I know what coffee smells like or fruit. So like, I don't want to go in a game where I can smell that. It needs to be something interesting.
Or like Grounded, the game where you're in the grass, in the lawn.
Yeah,
you
what does
sort
like,
of smell grass.
What is like dirt if you're like, you know, 10 centimeters tall? What does that smell like?
Okay, so these two want to smell footballers and burning imps. Perverts. Next question, please. Oh, it's already there.
And you're not answering. That's funny.
Did I not answer? I thought I did. Have I not already answered that one? I haven't, have I?
No.
I'll think about it while I read the next question.
Okay.
Because I'm distracted. So Harry Golocky, who we haven't seen for ages, he used to do the Gamers Watch podcast, which was like probably the best podcast around until they stopped, because it was brilliant. He has asked, do you prefer a full English or a roast? Yeah, I don't want to play a game where I could smell those.
Yeah. I don't. I'd say a roast because I don't technically have a full English. I don't have beans anywhere within my vicinity at
I know
any
people
time.
that have beans with a roast. They're wrong uns, so I don't recommend it.
Who the hell?
I know people who put mayonnaise on their roast as well. That's fucking wrong. But yeah, no, roast. Beef roast dinner. Beautiful.
What about you, Luke?
Some
roast for you as well.
Yeah.
But like, if I had an appetite for a full English though, if I was in that kind of breakfasty mood, a roast wouldn't do it. I'm the same. Like, I choose a roast. A roast is the one that I would have far more often. That I would prefer out of the two. But sometimes you just need full English. It hits a different spot.
Yeah.
No.
Black pudding, yeah.
No, I've never been able to.
I'd have one with black pudding.
Oh, get that in there.
There we go. We've got Replicant, the Lenovo Legion G promotional material. Yeah, it shows Steam symbols and Halo 5 with the Steam symbol on a Game Pass front end on the handheld. Is it a mock-up or is it a potential leak of Game Pass coming to Steam and Halo 5 finally coming to Steam? So, promotional material has been doing the rounds. I have actually vaguely seen this, but I didn't click on it to know what's going on. It's a Lenovo Legion promotional material specifically trying to show Game Pass front end on the handheld, but it has little Steam logos all over it. Is Game Pass coming to Steam? Is Halo coming to Steam? Or has somebody just fucked up the marketing?
Who knows, mate? Who knows? You know?
I will say that I want both of those things to come to Steam. I kind of expected Game Pass to come to Steam shortly after EA Play came to Steam. I thought maybe the groundwork had been laid for a subscription. Game Pass is more complicated because there's a lot of third-party games, and then you get into a whole big revenue split conversation that I wouldn't want to be a part of. And I'm assuming that they've never managed to meet an agreement where that works for both parties. So I don't expect Game Pass is coming to Steam because nothing has changed over the last multiple years to make that happen. But you never know, it might still do. I would still like it to. Halo 5 though, I didn't like Halo 5 very much, but Halo 5 was kind of let down by the hardware that it released on, because it was too ambitious for the scope of the hardware that it came out on, and it made it quite like, there's an opening scene in Halo where you like slide down on this snow or whatever, and it opens into a battlefield where you got all these drones flying around. The developers 343, I would say rightly targeted a high frame rate. They went for their 60 frames per second, and they were quite diligent in making sure that the campaign played at that. But as a result, the resolution was so low that you couldn't see what you were looking at. There's something buzzing around, but you couldn't see what the hell it was because the hardware could not do the game justice. So you can play it now. You can play it upscaled to 4K on a Series X, and that whole scene will make a lot more sense and look a lot better. But I think it sucks that it doesn't exist on PC, because I think anyone that's going through the Halo series should be able to play the whole of the Halo series, including Halo 6 that doesn't exist. The story that they were telling in Halo 5, maybe you don't like it. I don't particularly like it, but I don't like seeing stories that aren't concluded. So I would be very happy if that one does come to Steam. I would be very happy if they do plug that gap between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite one day. But as for the marketing material and the stuff that's leaked, I wouldn't read into it too much. Like you say, it's just a mock-up and probably doesn't mean much. Do you have anything else on that, Luke?
Well, Halo 5 on PC, it would be cool if it came for people who haven't played it. On the other hand, I think it's shite, so like I don't think people are getting much out of Halo 5. It's easily the worst Halo game to my mind. Steam Game Pass integration, I just don't know why. Like, I don't see what the benefit is for Steam to agree to that, for Valve to agree to that. Like, what benefit do Valve get out of allowing people to access a game that they have on a Game Pass subscription through Steam, unless there's some sort of back-end agreement they have with Microsoft that Microsoft pays some sort of, nominal / not nominal fee every time someone accesses that. Like, I just don't see it, because why would Steam want to cannibalize their own potential sales of that game on their platform when it will be there anyway? So it might be that Valve look at it and they go, well, actually, Game Pass isn't like, it's not so much of a competitor to what we do that we don't really care, and we'd prefer to do things that are consumer friendly, front facing, so that people continue to, enjoy the stuff that we do, and like keep us at the forefront of their minds when they're playing on their PCs and stuff. So I think that would be the only benefit, unless there was some sort of agreement between Microsoft and Valve that was commercially beneficial for Valve as well. But otherwise, I just can't see it.
I was going to just jump in as well and just say, like, a few people in the chat have said it as well. I think Game Pass will just come to Steam. I think how long has Xbox been rolling Game Pass solely through their app? A couple of years or something, or more. Maybe that uptick starting to flatten out a little bit. Maybe they're opening up to putting the service onto Steam's platform. Steam take a slice out of it. Something to that degree. I could see happening, especially considering everything is an Xbox now, right? So
It's just like,
who knows?
from Microsoft's perspective, the Game Pass subscription price has to stay the same. So they're talking about giving a cut to Steam to expand their audience. So from Microsoft's perspective, it's already a little bit murky because we don't know margins wise. Obviously, prices have changed over the last couple of years. So I don't know, maybe it all makes sense. From Steam's perspective, like Luke says though, and like I said there, the third-party games are really difficult to navigate in any kind of agreement because those games sell on Steam. And it is weird for someone to have a Microsoft Game Pass subscription, access a game through Steam, and split some amount of money between them.
What if it's just a version of Game Pass that's just covering first-party Xbox
and
games?
that's a possibility, particularly as Microsoft expand. But then it's really complicating the service offering even further than it already is with its multiple tiers. To have this like off-platform tier that has a limited selection of content just gets messy. So I don't know, like we'll see. Well,
it's like you know, from Valve's point of view, like for example, if Valve are looking at their metrics and seeing more of these Indiana Jones, you know, and Hellblade 2, for example, more people are picking them up through Xbox's app on PC, and maybe they're open to the idea of only having first-party Game Pass through Valve, so they're actually earning something from them games. Yeah, you don't really know, like, you know what I mean? But it'd be interesting to see if anything develops with it.
Yeah, and a few years ago I thought like maybe that's soon, and now I'm just less convinced that it will happen at all. But let's go on to the next one. It's from MJ, who has asked, you finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth last night and haven't platinumed it as usual. Any advice to the piano or the crunch off mini games? The crunch off, I actually didn't find. I've not platinumed it. I don't care for platinums overly, and that game's mini games would have destroyed my soul, I think, if I'd attempted to do every mini game to the harder difficulties in Final Fantasy. But I actually really like the piano in that game. When I've played it for a little while, and I wanted a little, like, I don't know, meditation session, the piano in that game is really nice. So for those that haven't played it, it's just like a typical music rhythm game, but you use your analog sticks to flick the little radial dials as the notes play through them. But it's Final Fantasy music, so it sounds like it's the more relaxing tracks, character themes and things like that. And it just worked really well. You can freestyle the piano if you're like really into music in ways that I'm not. But as a rhythm mini game, it was nice to do. And yeah, I didn't do the last theme. I think you had to do an awful lot to unlock the last theme for the piano. If you've got it there and you can't do it, then my advice for you would be to give the controllers to somebody that can. I'm not sure I can train you in rhythm games, but similar for the crunch off. I don't know what to tell you. Like, all you can do is keep at them. If you've got everything you need unlocked and you just need to beat the challenges, I don't know, take some performance enhancing drugs and have at it. I don't know. Luke, you played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Do you remember the crunch off and the piano? Do you have any advice on how to get good at them?
No, I mean, I'd rather just give up gaming than try and do a platinum that involved those mini games. I'll just get out of it entirely. Do something, do crochet or something. That's my advice.
That's not crochet, my man.
I'm not. I'm saying do it. It's much more worthwhile.
Episode 13. I'm not genuinely recommending performance enhancing drugs to do Final Fantasy VII mini games. It was a joke. Don't panic. Relax.
Use a bit.
Relax. But it is your only hope. So, Nate State Games has asked, with the developer direct, Doom and Expedition 33 are both multi-plat. One surprise game yet to be announced, and then South of Midnight. Do they confirm PlayStation 5 launch for South of Midnight at the Dev Direct? No, I don't see them mentioning PlayStation at the Dev Direct. Not in the same way that like Sony traditionally are very reluctant to breathe the words Xbox, and they'll usually refer to it even within their like you have to go properly into Sony's legal contracts to see them utter the word Xbox. Outside of that, they won't refer to them as some kind of like it's a cultural thing, company culture not to speak anything Xbox because they just don't want to. Microsoft aren't the same with PlayStation. They'll quite happily talk about it, but it would be weird to see them mention that name at the Dev Direct, so I don't expect that they will.
Yeah, I don't think that they'd notice. Notice. I don't think they'd announce PlayStation at the Direct itself anyway. But is it beyond them to put an Xbox blog out after the event and then say, "Oh, it's also coming"? I think maybe that's more what Nate's getting at there. Like, the fact that this whole multi-platform approach with Xbox now.
Yeah, and I think they'll be very matter of fact about it. Like, there's a chance you'll see it when they have the closing splash screen or whatever, but I just don't think they'll make a big song and dance of it. Like, this is also coming to PlayStation.
Interesting though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I can't see them saying anything. Nothing about any PlayStation versions of Stuff at Midnight on this show. It'd just be the publicity of that. I just think would be very negative to do for them when it's a dev direct for Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what if Xbox consider themselves as this is their business model now?
Yeah,
and they stand there with their chest out and go, "Yeah, we put our games anywhere. Like, we don't give a fuck." Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think they do consider it their business model now, and I think South of Midnight will come to PlayStation at some point. But I think they're still in that kind of, okay, well, we can't be really open, like super open with this on every game. We have to at least maintain an aura that we're not, that these games aren't coming to other platforms, because we don't want to totally cannibalize our sales on all, potential Game Pass subscriptions and stuff.
I mean, their messaging is fucking so weird. Like we said last week about them, or someone asked about, will they do another sit down podcast with Matt, Phil, and fucking whoever else was out there, and they said, oh, it's a case by case basis and all that. And maybe internally they're like, no, them games are going over there. Like, and the fan base have got okay with that, because now obviously the fan base have shifted away from that now to everything's an Xbox. Like, whatever. Like, so maybe they if PlayStation's a platform for their games now, I'm not saying that they will announce it in the real, but like afterwards, I think, was it Indiana Jones that like soon after it was revealed the second time round, then it came out that it would also be going to PlayStation or something like that.
Was it Gamescom that?
Or their summer showcase or something.
It was either Gamescom or Summer Game Fest, and I think it was Gamescom, and they did the trailer with the release date, and then they said, "Oh yeah, and there's one more thing we want to reveal." So it was it's one of Keeley's things.
Yeah, well, you never know, because Xbox are the ones doing things outside of the ordinary, so to speak. You know what I mean? They're the ones that are doing what they're doing. So if they're going to stand on it, then they're going to stand on it, aren't they? They've already sort of fucking made their bed, so to speak, right?
Yep.
Well, let's do the next one, because I like this question. I've already answered this one on the Discord, completely unnecessarily, because I was just being an idiot, and now it's come back. Luke.
Yep.
What's not to like?
Halo 5.
Apparently, evidently so. Does not like Halo 5.
Yeah, that's Halo 5.
Halo 5 is a thing not to like. Darge, what's not to like?
Platform worshipping, console warring, being a prick online. That's not to like.
Those are definitely things not to like.
There's probably worse things to be, but they're three examples.
That's solid, though. Yeah, that's solid. And Halo 5.
And Halo 5.
They are solid. I said celery yesterday and a few other things, but yeah, you're right. 12 minutes as a game is a thing not to like.
Yeah, that's not to like. Yeah, every Pro Evolution Soccer game after 6 is not to like as well. After 6.
Most of the discourse on Twitter is not to like, but particularly generally the attitude of trying to crush and put down other people's fun is a thing that I specifically dislike, which you'll gather around our Discord and stuff. I don't like to see people trying to tell people that their platform of choice or their game of choice is wrong. that shit's not necessary. So there's quite a lot of things not to like, but those are our examples for today. Our next question is from MJ again. Also, just started Metaphor ReFantasio. Is the game's story heavily reliant on choices like Fable, as I really struggle with choices knowing that they have an effect on the game? So, MJ, I haven't played Metaphor yet. I would like to. I hope that the choices weigh heavily on the way that the plot plays out, because I thoroughly enjoy that in a game. But it's not something that, it's not an expectation that I have for Metaphor when I get there. I don't expect, like, besides, this is a problem that I have with Persona games, is that the choices that you make in Persona games typically are just about what creepy high school relationship you end up with, or how you develop your character, but they weren't meaningful to the story, really. Metaphor, I don't necessarily think of it as a choice and consequence game, so I will hear other people on that one to find out whether it is or not. But typically, I love, I really wish there were more games that forced consequences for your choices. So games that had choice and consequence, but were very strict about auto-saving when you'd made any given choice, so that you had to live with the consequences. And there aren't, like, this is an unpopular opinion that I have, but I think it's quite, it can have quite an impact to force a player to live with the consequences of their choices, rather than to let them save scum or change their mind when they don't like an outcome. I think that's a quite interesting mechanic that games could play on more than they do. Luke, have you've played a little bit of Metaphor?
Yeah, I played like 5 or 6 hours, but I don't know. It's the answer, because there's nothing in that 5 or 6 hours to suggest that they do. But obviously that's super early in the game, so any story stuff will probably come, like major story implications would come from your choices would come later. So I don't know. I hope it's in there, because as like you, I think that's really cool when it's in games. But I don't know.
And Darge, you haven't played Metaphor, have you?
No, but after I finished 1000 X Resist, I said, like, oh, got kind of used to that art style, you know. And then I thought, oh, Metaphor, like a lot of people was talking about it, but nah, I haven't got around to playing it, I'm afraid. I know Replicant, I mean, he's in the chat now talking about it. I think he's enjoying it. I think
you have to enjoy it a certain amount to be 30 hours in.
30 hours in, yeah. You'd think so, right?
Yeah, so sorry, MJ, don't really know the answer to that one. But take some performance-enhancing drugs to help you with the choices. That's my advice. The next question, please. Don't take performance-enhancing drugs to play Metaphor. But relax and enjoy the consequences of your actions, because it is just a game. It'll be okay. Episode 13, we've probably had this before. What video game food power-up would you like to eat? Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, roast chicken springs to mind. Apologies if this question is wrong. The question is fine. Typically, if an item were to give me power or restore my life force, I'd probably eat most things, like even fish or celery. But in terms of something actually being appetizing, have you ever played a game that dropped an item the character eats and you looked at it and went, actually, I quite fancy that, I'm hungry now?
You know, like the Mario games now, you know, like where he has something that makes him turn into an elephant and all that. Like, is there any game where you can eat something to make your hair grow back? If there isn't, then I don't have an answer.
I don't know of one, because it's not considered an affliction. Most people, it's like it's an endearing quality to have hair loss, Darge. People are maybe whatever
to be
Mario.
Like you. Yeah, maybe whatever Mario. Well, yeah, that's consuming fucking stress. If you wanna lose your hair, yeah, maybe the one that Mario turns into the cuddly cat outfit. Maybe that one.
Oh yeah, the
like be a furry. Yeah, I'd like that. I think.
Yeah, I'd join you with that.
I'm going to say for both of you then, this is going to change your life. There is nothing stopping you from becoming furries. You don't need any kind of magic food.
It's frowned upon. It's frowned upon in the roofing world, eh? So let me tell you.
I can't look like Mario.
That could have been why you're on the roof.
You ever heard a cat on a hot tin roof? I'd be like literally the yeah, and the ears. be like fucking EGX all over again.
Yeah.
Times.
Indeed.
My other choice would be the Wonder Seeds from
Oh yeah.
Mario, because then I mean it's basically one big trip, isn't it? So you know you could have again no drug endorsement on this podcast.
Gonna say I've had my fair few trips. So
Yeah, you want to stay away from those.
Yeah,
Darge. You stick
yeah,
to the Tanuki.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Good healthy appetites. Next question, please. I've enjoyed this part of the show. I have enjoyed it.
It's been good.
Mm.
I think we should make what's not to like a regular segment of the show when we just random what's not to like.
Right, Pete has asked, any of you use a top-end gaming keyboard? And if you do, which one? What about mouse or controller? Tell us your hardware shizzle. I'm not keen on the shizzle, Pete. But generally, so I kind of regret this. I have the Wooting little 60% keyboard, and that's why I regret it. I love the keyboard. For those that don't know, which you probably don't, Wooting they're not mechanical. They're like membrane keyboards that are for gaming, and they're like the high-end membrane keyboard. And I love that because I don't like keys that click. But the 60% is too small. I only did the 80%. I miss a few buttons. There's a few buttons I could use for being the productive gentleman that I am. Luke, what's your keyboard?
I have a Newfie Halo 75 keyboard V2.
75 is a good number.
Yeah, so it's a good size for a gaming keyboard. It's very nice. It's got really satisfying mechanical keys.
Do they click?
They're more of a thonk, these ones, which I really like. So I had a Razer Widowmaker V3 which had very clicky keys, and I do enjoy that, but these ones are chunkier. I like them. I'll see if I can. There you go. There it is.
Look at that.
So yeah, I would really recommend investing in a good mechanical keyboard generally for PC.
For those that don't, I would recommend the Wooting range in general. If you don't like the click, like me, and this might just be a me thing. Like it's kind of widely accepted PC gamer knowledge that mechanical keyboards are the way to go, but I freaking hate the noise. I don't want a noisy keyboard.
You can get like
the rings.
Yeah,
cherry red.
You get low profile ones which don't make as much noise, and you can get the ones that are like that have the sound depression on them as well built in, so that don't that you get the performance of a mechanical keyboard, but you don't get the sound. So there's tons of options. Stop being grumpy, Asa. Come on.
I'm not. I'm celebrating my choice of nice, quiet keyboard. Darge, do you have any like? I've got a gaming mouse.
Just got like
any proper nerd hardware.
I think it's a Corsair A70 Elite. I don't play with mouse and keyboard. Mechanical though, I like the sound, but now Luke's intrigued me with the honk sound effect. I need to hear that now because it's sort of piqued my intrigue a little bit. But yeah, I don't play with mouse or keyboard. I'm very casual. That's it.
All right, I've got a couple of like elite controllery things. I like back paddles on a controller. I'm sad when I don't have them. Yeah. Next question, please. Oh, it's already there. What time is too late to have a coffee? Says Hodl Shark. The Hodl Shark, so long as you have it alongside some performance-enhancing drugs, you can have it any time of day.
Yeah, I was going to say for me, there's never a time too late because I've done worse at late hours. Put it that way.
Look, coffee. You're a real coffee connoisseur. When do you stop?
Yeah, I stop about probably 3 p.m. Anytime after that. Yeah, but that's probably because I went way too hard on coffee in the studying days. So I restrict myself to like 2, maybe 3 at a push coffees, and I try and savor them.
To be fair though, you have like proper coffee, don't you?
Yeah. So I'll have like So I'll have like espresso with. But well, to be fair, I have milk drinks mainly, so cappuccinos and such. But obviously, I'm extracting double shots of espresso for that. So they get me going.
Here it comes.
So I was having loads of coffee. Coffee doesn't particularly keep me awake. I was just drinking it through whatever hour. I'd have them when I was doing like a 9 o'clock stream or whatever, and I was fine. I'd fall asleep afterwards. But then I realized through accidental scientific testing that my blood pressure is quite bad. So I'm trying to have a bit less of it at the moment.
The factor for me as well.
I've never had mine checked. I'm just a walking time bomb.
That's right. Like walking's a sign of good health.
Hopefully, I'll be here next week.
There we go. Performance enhancing drugs will get you there. That's the moral of the story, the theme of the show. And we've done all of the questions now, so we've reached a nice, comfortable conclusion, end time, and all the rest of it. So, thank you everyone for coming and listening to us and giving us questions and talking to us, talking to each other, supporting us in general. Darge.
Yes, sir.
Say what you want to say to close out.
No, just thanks everyone who's been here chatting away. It's been a good show. Right, it's been good. This third one back. Chemistry's there. It's getting there. The industry's whipping up a little bit. You know, I think not next week, but the following we should be following on from the developer direct. So we'll have stuff to discuss then. But yeah, no, it's good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I've got. I'll be here next week.
Chronic, because this is unrelated, but I have to read it. He said, I'm not allowed coffee, so I limit it to a maximum 2 or 3 a day. Instructions unclear. Sorry, Doc. I've been having 2 or 3 a day. Fine, Chronic, good for you. Whatever's keeping you going, I'm not judging. Luke, say what you want to say.
Yeah, just say what Darge said, really. Thanks everyone for being here. Really enjoyed that. And I'll be in the Discord talking about coffee, probably, until I'm bored, and then I won't. So,
which is never going to happen. He loves talking about coffee. He'll be there for the long term.
I love it much. Brilliant.
There we go. And that's oh shit.
No, I was just going to say, like, because my outro's a bit shit. But yeah, if you're new, Randall, you got one of the gifted memberships off of Gamsley, definitely get into the Discord, because it's chatty over there and it's a good place, you know, 99.9% of the time. So yeah, make sure you get in the Discord.
Yeah, which is a fine shout. Do get in there. There are like sections for people that are members and all the rest of it, but there is a lot there if you're not as well. So hit the link that is in the video description. There is a video on the channel from Darge that we put out on maybe Monday or so, looking at the games in January. So I'm sure he would love your support in watching that and giving some feedback. And that's
actually, just let me quickly jump in. I actually really do want brutally honest feedback. I want to work on another video this week, try and have it out by the middle of next week, but feedback helps a lot. I've had a couple of bits of feedback from people from the Discord. But yeah, have a look, let me know, and I'll improve.
And that is the end of today's show. So there's going to be some kind of community games. I've not done very well figuring out what we're playing tomorrow, but we'll be playing something tomorrow. There's going to be split streaming on Tuesday and Thursday. There's going to be the Arcadia Roundtable on Saturday. There's going to be a wonderful, harmonious choir of singing and carols in the Discord. Something like that. Anyway, get in there and see what I mean. I don't know what I mean, but we'll find out together. And we'll see you next time.